Welcome to the official podcast where the bombs get thrown. I'm your host, May Shayla Bogan, and I introduce to you the Mike Bomb Podcast.
This is my night, this is my pain, this is my life, this is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Every new day, every new night, every new stage, every new fight. This is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Fall to my knees every night and I pray, asking Lord, let him hear. I got something to say. There's a fear out there and it's coming your way. Don't let it stop you from living for what you were made. It's not a dream, it's a destiny.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mike Bomb Podcast, Season 2, Episode number 2, with your host, May Shayla, your co-host, Kayla Lewis, and our girl, Stacey J. So we're back at it, about a week or two off. By the way, I take all faults to that. I'm the one who pulled the trigger about that. But we're kicking off this episode pretty much giving you guys a recap of NFL Week 8 and Week 9 due to the missed week of last week. Once again, my fault. I take all blame in that. So these past 2 weeks has just been crazy. I really don't know what to say. Week 8, I really don't want to talk about. Steelers got embarrassed by the Eagles. I kind of saw that coming.
We all
when you,
Shay.
Yeah, we all, who didn't? Who didn't? Who didn't?
All saw that
It's just your defense when your defense is just not healthy, and then you have your offense who's just with a sorry offensive coordinator. Let's just call it like it is, who's underdeveloped, who's with an offense with a sorry offensive coordinator, or sorry ass offensive coordinator to be more exact. That's a better term. Just with an underdeveloped and young team versus the Eagles, who just has experience everywhere, who has chemistry everywhere. You're outmatched. You're outmatched on paper. You're outmatched on film. You know, this is unfamiliar territory for Mike Tomlin, because when he first came in, he was shipped in with veterans. There was Ben in his 5th year. There was Troy in the 6th. There was, it was just beneficial for him because pretty much he was playing the same role that Ben once played when he first came in, which was practically plug-in. Now the roles are switched. For the first time, he's coaching up a rookie quarterback in a starting position. And then he got to deal with a sorry offensive coordinator who I think they should have shot up on out of here at the, during the bye week, since you had like.
How do you really feel? How do you really feel about your team these last 2 weeks?
These last 2 weeks, let's just say that I enjoyed the bye week. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the bye week, even though they were heavily on my mind because unfortunately it's still football season. But I enjoyed the bye week because now we're getting healthy. So thank God our defense is getting healthy again. So that's a good sign. We got TJ Watt and them guys coming back. The schedule does get easier. We do have the Saints this Sunday, which is a great thing. You do got the Bengals next week, the following week. And then you got pretty much your Colts, I believe. And then it's the Falcons. So it's going to be some pretty interesting weeks. I'll say that. It's going to be some couple trash talking maybe up here. And it's going to be some interesting weeks because
dog, I'm not even going to hold you. At least y'all can score more than 3 points.
I'm not satisfied with my team only scoring 10, 13, 7. Did we score 17 points this year outside of the game in Cincinnati? That's a good ass question.
Well, I got you. You had 13 against the Eagles, 10 against the Dolphins, and 20 against the Bucks.
Wow, 20 against the Bucks. Huh, great.
I mean, y'all beat Tom Brady. I feel like.
I mean, everybody but Matthew Stafford. But still, it's just. It's straight like this. Some people gonna call me delusional. I'm feeling some type of positivity about the Steelers because they're getting healthy. But this offense just has to show me something, bro. If you're not gonna if you didn't fire the offensive coordinator, one, you still got faith in the season. That's what you're telling me. So now you're gonna have to show me why. And it starts this Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. whose defense is honestly pretty legit. They was just playing against, you could say, a
A
high
red
Lamar
hot
Jackson.
Kings team right now. Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson has going off. Dalvin Cook is he can be iffy sometimes, but he's still Dalvin Cook. And when he's on, he reminds you that he's Dalvin Cook. Don't
Yeah.
forget you got Adam Thielen over there on the side too. So Kirk Cousins has actually been cooking, as we like to call him now, Kirko Chains, because he showed out on the PJ, on the private
Yeah.
jet.
Listen,
So,
all
so
of the swag, you hear me?
all of it. And
I just can't believe the Vikings are actually leading that division over the Green Bay Packers. And you know what? That's something we need to hop into after your take on this Vikings, because what the hell is going on in Green Bay? I understand Pittsburgh because they got a rookie quarterback in a reload and rebuilding phase, but we're going to get a little more to that down the road. But let's pick up on the Vikings and then let's move on to their division rivals, them Green Bay Packers. But go ahead, girl.
yes, so I'm going to get into the Vikings. We're going to talk about Green Bay. I'm going to go into the final scores all in week 8. And then we're going to talk about who's legit and who need to quit. So the Vikings, they are in that conversation. The Vikings always show you that they're the Vikings when it comes really down to crunch time. So the argument is that they're in the NFC North, right? It's not a great division. Like, Green Bay is definitely feeling the effects of not having Devontae Adams. That split should have never happened. He's miserable. Aaron Rodgers is miserable. It should have never happened. That's clearly one of the main culprits, outside of a whole lot of other issues Aaron Rodgers is having with this team. And Green Bay they're not going to recover this season. So that's over that. So I definitely feel like the Vikings are going to win that division. Nobody else is going to take over the Vikings. But will the Vikings get past the first round of the playoffs? Do we believe in the Vikings that much? Or will they still show us, like they do every time, that they're still that same old Vikings team? Or they got TJ Hawkinson too. So maybe it is that small piece too that they're building to try to have more sustainability and longevity in the playoffs. How do you feel? Hello?
Ask your question one more time, Space.
Oh, I'm like, hello? I said at the trade deadline, the Vikings got TJ Hawkinson. They are clearly trying to make moves, seeing as, they're top now, trying not to be that same old disappointing Vikings team when it comes to the playoffs. Do you feel they can actually make a decent Super Bowl run after the first round of the playoffs, or will they show us that they are who we always feel like they are? Kirk Cousins. Good old Kirk.
Honestly, it depends on the Vikings. To me, it's going to go as far as the run game allows them to, because you have to be able to run the football. I don't see you get to a Super Bowl, no matter what era of the NFL you want to pick, if you cannot run the football. And it's just plain as simple as that. So yes, even though Justin Jefferson, no question, is that dude. No question, to me, top 5 receiver this year. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can match him up there statistically and on film with the best of the best. But Dalvin Cook is going to have to show everyone that he can be that top 5 dude in his position as well and run the football. Kirk Cousins, though, is going to have to know how to make sufficient throws when they're needed, but it's going to definitely rely on the run game, because based off the teams that we're seeing this year, most likely, if you're the Vikings, whether you're home or on the road, you're playing in that code. And in the code, you have to know how to run the football in order to adjust. And that's just that. So they're just going to go how far as their running game, or Dalvin Cook in their running game, would allow them to.
I 1,000% agree. That cold weather separates the boys and the men, and the winners and the losers. So we will see. And I think that's another reason why the Bills, who beat the Packers 27-17 in week 8, But in week 9, they lost 2017 to the Jets. I know we're not at all concerned about the Bills because to me, they're already in the Super Bowl. They just, killing time till they get there. But they're a cold weather team. And that is literally what's going to sustain them to the end. But going back into more week 8 things, our biggest debate that we had on our last episode was it
Yes.
or was it going to be the Ravens? And we were all wrong. The Ravens beat the Bucs in week 8, 27-22. Hashtag Team Black Quarter Black.
Hold up. Hashtag you and Kayla was wrong. Shay didn't have a decision.
Okay,
Hey. Whoa. I feel attacked.
Shay didn't have a decision because she ain't know who. Listen, I ain't know what type of Raven team I was going to get up down there, Tampa Bay. And I ain't know whether I was going to get the Tom Brady that we saw when they was on that loser streak or the Tom Brady that we saw that was Mr. Clutchman when he picked up that victory last Sunday against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, I kept my mouth shut about that one. You two were the ones who picked Mr.
Look,
12.
I will take my L on that. Like, I should have never gone against a quarterback. Like I knew better. Like in the so I knew better.
I mean, you didn't.
But
You ain't go against Brady. You just went against Lamar, which something that a lot of people might have would have still done because he was at home.
It's the GOAT. It's the argue with your mama. Like don't argue with me. I didn't make the rules. Like let's just be for real. Tom is goated. Been goated for a minute. Colts fans, don't kick me out of Colts Nation yet. We still got plenty of time in the show. Y'all can kick me out later.
They can't kick nobody out right now. They need as much fans as they can get.
Look, man, we got Nyheim Hines, our number 2 running back, in. We gave another weapon to Josh Allen. So we just down battered.
Who gave Nyheim Hines to the Buffalo Bills?
Yep. Right after we kicked out our offensive coordinator.
Oh Lordy. Is Jonathan Taylor coming back?
Questionable, I believe. I haven't looked at the
shouldn't come back at this point, honestly. What are the Colts' serious playoff
We're not going. We need to go ahead and buy new couches.
Really?
We're not
really?
Going.
You going Kayla?
We're not.
Where's your positivity at, Kayla? You guys got Jeff Saturday.
It left after week 2.
At least show some type of positivity, Kayla. Pick those spirits up.
I love my babies dearly. There's still a few of them that I worked with that are on the team. Love them dearly, but I'm gonna go ahead and need them to book their off-season trainers now, book their doctors, so they can come back healthy. We just need to throw this whole season away. After the last 2 weeks we had,
we're moving on to next season. We're moving on to next week.
Right. Throw the whole season away. We just need to start over. I mean, that's what we're getting at anyway.
Right. Okay. I understand.
And speaking of your Colts, in week 8, they lost to the Commanders, with
no Carson Wentz. The quarterback we just got rid of.
A win is a win. I feel like Carson Wentz going down was the best thing that could have happened to the Commanders this season. To be honest, that's my hot take. I feel they have an opportunity to build and be on the up and up. Where has Carson Wentz honestly gone where he's improved the situation long term?
Not Indianapolis. I'm sorry.
I mean, Philadelphia?
No, I'm just saying. We keep going. Where else?
A little in Philadelphia?
Nick Foles won that Super Bowl in Philadelphia.
A little in Philadelphia? I mean, his play did
long term.
Not just a little bit.
Exactly, a little.
Listen, somebody got to be Miss Positive on this show. Somebody got to be.
Carson Wentz is an amazing backup quarterback, and he should just, keep on going.
Take several seats, kind of.
But dearest Kayla, week 9, your Colts lost 26-3 to the Patriots, who are last in their division.
I mean, that's
Like
a
I
pretty
said.
legit division, though. You got to give
Like
the
I
Pats that. The Pats
said.
are 5-4, and then you got the Bills, you got the Jets, you got the Dolphins. Stacey, you can't. Listen, I'm a Steeler fan, but you cannot knock them Patriots, bro. You can't knock that. That is a real.
Like I said,
And
throw
the
our whole season away. Just throw it away.
Listen, the AFC East is shocking
away.
everybody because honestly, everyone came in this year thinking the AFC West was going to be the best division. And if it wasn't for the AFC South and the AFC North, they would be the automatic worst if they're not right now.
Yes.
If they're not right now. Like, but you got to give the AFC East and the NFC East as well, not that we're speaking on the East, some credit. Those are legit divisions. Like the only team with a non-losing record out of both of those divisions combined, not to remind Kayla here, are the Commanders.
The Colts.
Look, I'm just throwing away the whole season.
It's
I mean, we fired our coach on Monday. How you get fired on your day off, Craig? And
that should have been Matt Canada. That should have been the coach to get fired. We'll take your head coach as an offensive coordinator, though. But yeah, we can't get him as a head coach, though. He can't take Tomlin's job, but he could definitely take Matt Canada's job. Because even though I hope that I'm right on this, it cannot get no worse than it is right now. But go ahead, Stace.
That's cool. Speaking of it can't get any worse than it is right now. Am I going to say, well, no, since we're talking about the East teams, let's talk about the East teams. Dolphins, we were trying to figure out how they were going to pivot with Tua out and how they would adjust when he got back. Dolphins in week 8 beat the Lions 31-27. I'm not going to be too hard on the Lions because they fight. They're not the same sorry Lions team of a few years ago. They're always losing by like 3 points. Or 4 points, like it's never
It's coaching in Detroit. That's what's the problem. Like the Detroit could probably be a legit team. They're just not well coached, and the culture in Detroit is just not enforced the way it should be. Like, but they're getting a couple of good players. They got a couple of good draft picks this year. They got another 2 and 3 thanks to the Rams. So they could definitely, and with the way the Rams record is looking right now, the Lions might be the Lions might have 2 top 10 picks in that draft. So they could definitely get themselves a young quarterback, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or someone else out this draft, and they could definitely get themselves a legit wide receiver, and they could build upon that. Or they can get themselves a defensive stud. They could definitely add Will Anderson to that defense. We don't know, but the Lions, I think, is going to be if they keep building. They got to keep building, though. Like, they got to keep building this young team. They got to keep building around them. And I feel like the Lions, truth be told, can be in contention within the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe a little earlier than that.
Yes. Do you know who was the Lions for a while before they became who they were? The Bengals. They were just good enough, just bad enough for a few years, and they finally they got the pieces together.
Are we seriously gonna get? No, come on, Stacey.
They finally got the pieces. They got
Stacey. Come on, you come on now. See, I'm trying to do everything I could in this process of healing. The freaking bring some positivity to this episode, and here your butt come bringing up these Bengals. I'm gonna tell you what you won't tell yourself.
You struck a nerve.
I'm gonna get it out. You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to give it space, to give it out. I listen.
So you bought the Bengals up because you knew how that was gonna get me. Ooh, you messy. Oh, you messy. Oh, you are. Stacey, you messy. But you know what? Honestly, because they're obnoxious fans, so for some freaking reason, it's been on my mind as lately. Because I got into it with one of them after they lost to after they weren't embarrassed by Cleveland. After they were embarrassed by Cleveland. So I'm a air the name out. Mr. Zim Hude is not the fan that I got into it with, but it is
first name basis.
That guy, yes, Mr. Zim Hude. He been running his mouth about Kenny Pickett for the most umpteen weeks, picking at a rookie quarterback for making what is expected, or what those who know a damn clue about football would know is expected, which is to make rookie mistakes. So he made fun of Kenny's one interception against the Eagles that was thrown when the game was practically over with. And when he did what many didn't give a damn to do outside of Big Ben when the last time he was in Pittsburgh, which is score points. puts more than freaking 13 points on the damn board. It make the loss a 2-game possession instead of a 3 to a damn 4. You know, even though a loss is a loss, regardless of how many points, it's still an L, but there's a way you want to lose when you put on that Steeler uniform. Kenny understood that. Does he got to be better with his decision making? Yes. Can he be a little more crisp with them throws? Yes. But that is not going to sit there and occur in 4 games. Now, this bye week, we going to find out a lot. We're going to find out, is this going to be the Steeler team that we saw with Denise Weeks, or is this going to be a Steeler team that could turn the corner and make a good run? They have a good opportunity now. Everyone's getting healthy. Everyone's doing this, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, this ain't about my Steelers. This is about the damn Bengals and these fans. Now, we could get into my Steelers a little far down because we got plenty of time. But
we got plenty of time. But about the Bengals, since I brought them up, week 9, 42-21 over the Panthers, which isn't saying a lot because the Panthers, honey, they are struggling.
After being embarrassed by the Cleveland Browns. And then want to say the ops only show up to this.
This is a Jacoby Brissett Stan account.
Oh,
my bad.
And that is what
it's good, man. It's just like, here's the deal about them damn Bengals. I still stand on what I said. They're not making the playoffs. I still stand on what I said. They're not making the playoffs. You got.
I honestly don't. If they do make the playoffs, I don't think they're going to go deep.
They're not making the. Okay, let me tell you who they got after they bye. They got the Steelers, who annihilated that offensive line week 1 and can legitimately do it again. They got the Patriots, I believe. You still got Tennessee. You still got Kansas City. You still got Buffalo. And that's 5 games right there. You still got Baltimore. You still got Cleveland.
I feel like they could win at least half of those games, honestly.
What? Half? What?
Yeah. Am I fucking hold on. Let me go through. We talking about the Bengals. Okay, let's see. Week 10, the Bengals.
They got week 10, they on the bye.
They on the bye. Okay.
Week 11, they got my Steelers in Pittsburgh.
I think they can beat your Steelers, honey. I'm so sorry.
Oh God, Stacey. Oh God. I'm gonna tell you right now. If they were gonna beat my Steelers, they should have did it week 1. And they didn't. And that offensive line, it's only gotten worse down the season. And then TJ Watt and them boys coming back. That's going to be a factor. The Bengals is also pretty banged up in that secondary, and they didn't really have much answer for these wide receivers in Pittsburgh. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. The Bengals ain't who you think they are. They're not. First of all,
absolutely
got hurt, which is why they beat the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the Bengals might just win only 2 games in this division this year, if not none. And that might be against the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns, because here's what I think. They're getting swept by the Steelers in Pittsburgh. I don't see them winning that game because in order for them to win that game, they're gonna have to run the football. And with no Jamar Chase, which means it's gonna cost attention to T. Higgins, it's gonna cost attention to Tyler Boyd, and right there. So honestly, it's gonna really be a good defensive score. And if I gotta pick both defenses healthy, I'm going with the Steelers defense in that one. I can't bet against TJ Watt, and I can't pick Sam Hubbard over TJ Watt. But then you got the Patriots. Then you got the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Browns.
And so in week 12, they play the Titans, who are very interesting because the teams that they have beaten are bottom of the barrel teams.
I mean, they did beat Buffalo.
Stace, I think you froze, love.
Yeah, girl, you froze in this machine loading.
But while we got a brief pause here, all I'm saying is week 14, I don't care. You all know what I'm going to say. This is a Jacoby Brissett Stan account. I'm giving them that L. That's all I got on this. That's all I got on the Bengals.
I won't be surprised if they go 0-6 in this division this year. I'll say it. I'll say what people don't have the guts to say. I would not be surprised. Because according to Bengal fans, they were supposed to sweep the AFC North this year. They are supposed to run sack this AFC North this year. And honestly, the Steelers can possibly be a better team this half of the damn year than they was previously. I mean, well, this happened the year after it was the first freaking 8 games of the season. Because I'm gonna be complete. This is a Steeler team, right? That we're talking about that has no damn business being 2-6. None. You should have not lost to the Patriots. You should have not lost to the Jets. You had no business losing to the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Eagles. That was coming because you were just outmatched everywhere, but in the safety position. No TJ Watt. You know, you're playing with practically Alex Smith and a bunch of backups in the linebacking position. So Bills and Buffalo, I mean, the Bills and the Eagles, you were outmatched. But you had no damn business losing to the Patriots. No damn business losing to the Jets. No damn business losing to the...
That you can't sleep on the Patriots because they're at the bottom of a very good division.
Yes, but I was at that game, Stacey. I could tell you, the Steelers lost. 4 out of 6 of the Steelers' losses was off of lack of execution and stupidity. We see what happens when the Steelers can capitalize on opportunities that's being given to them, and when the play calling can be actually decent. That's what you need right now. With everybody coming back, Terrell Austin, he's finally going to be able to get the opportunity that he needs to get that high 3 safety look with Kazi and coming back with Mika, Terrell, and them guys. Everybody but Akila Witherspoon is, and honestly, I don't really want his ass to play because the play's been horrible. Honestly, he just needed to sit that bench, which is why I'm actually kind of glad that we did trade and get William Jackson, but we obviously going to need a cornerback regardless of how this year play out. We're going to need to take a cornerback first. Everyone want to say offensive lineman. Everyone want to say that, but this is offensive lineman with a first-year head coach. Let's give them another year, but let's invest in free agency. We want to put this young quarterback around a veteran offensive lineman that still got youth in them, that can still get juice, that can still push the line down and get Najee going. More of the story is, though, this is a 2-6 Steeler team that has no damn business being 2-6.
You don't mind if I go back to my Colts real quick?
Yeah, you can go back to your Colts because we can get in touch with that. But yes, that's why I'm picking the Bengals to lose that game to the Steelers. And honestly, I won't be surprised if they lose out. Y'all can be shocked all y'all want, but I won't be because this is like them to do. And I don't see them being any of these teams. Maybe the Browns.
Week 12, the Bengals play the Titans. The Titans are one of those interesting teams, is what I was saying for, I don't know, haters.
They could win that game.
So the Titans are one of those interesting teams because you don't hear a lot about them because they haven't really been explosive. All the teams that they have beat have been some of the sorry, Caleb, bottom of the barrel teams, like teams that you expect them to beat, teams that aren't doing that well. So
it's fine. I watched it and just knew. I took that out.
It's okay. I mean, you have to don't forget Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry and he is healthy now. So that is going to be a very exciting matchup. I honestly can't call it. I don't think the Bengals are going to make it out of that. You're right, Shay. Week 13, the Bengals play the Chiefs. They're not getting out of that. Week 14, they play the Browns. I feel like they can beat the Browns.
Hold on, let me give you a heads up.
Jacoby Brissett stand account.
Oh, it ain't Jacoby Brissett they gonna have to worry about. It's Deshaun Watson with Amari Cooper and them boys you gotta worry about now.
Okay, but are we positive that Deshaun is gonna have his life together?
I mean, that could be dangerous though.
Years. We also have to remember that he has not played live football on a field in real time in 2
years. Yeah. I mean, okay, here's what they could do. But they could switch to Jacoby Brissett in time though, or they could just run the football. They already showed you they don't need their quarterback. They just need quarterback to make the necessary throws. Not every throw. Now, Jacoby Brissett, I'll give you credit, Miss
That's
Stan.
a big body. That's a big body that you have to bring
He
down.
did his thing, and he wasn't the one who threw that interception. I looked at that interception. I know that was Amari Cooper out here that was supposed to be catching the football, throwing the football. That was bad play calling by Kevin Stefanski right there. There's a reason why the quarterback is the quarterback, the receiver is the receiver, and so on. Let people play their dang positions. Everyone ain't meant to throw a damn football just because they're a football player. There's a reason why they're set up to be certain positions. But more of the story is, can they really beat Cleveland? Because Cleveland didn't have, even though they didn't have Jamar Chase, but when they get Jamar Chase back, Denzel Ward is going to be back as well.
Very true.
Shay, what nerves have we not hit yet? Because I feel like we keep hitting them. Like,
Oh.
how can we stay off of them? So I feel like we keep stepping. How many do you have? Have we gotten on your last one yet?
On these damn Bengals. You
Just
ain't
in
even
general.
you ain't even
Just
do
in
it, Stacey.
general.
You ain't even do it. I mean, you ain't even do it, Kayla. It was mistake. She knew what she was doing.
I'm here to bring the spice, girl. We don't shy away from this stuff. We don't shy away from it.
I still stand on what I say. They not making the playoffs.
Oh,
They are not making the playoffs.
We talking about them winning out. So we said, okay, we already said the Chiefs. We just got to the Browns, week 15. Browns.
You hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. No, hold up. Let me get this off my chest right now, because this has been on my mind heavily. Call me crazy, but I got better faith in this half of the season with the Pittsburgh Steelers making the playoffs better than the Bengals. I got better faith than them in Cleveland getting that last seed in Cincinnati, because let's face facts here. None of the other three teams in this division is winning that division. I called it from the get-go. I had the Ravens, and everyone called me a fake Steeler fan. Pittsburgh, no Big Ben, rebuilding. Cincinnati, inconsistency with winning, have an audacity to choking up after the following year after having a good year. And Cleveland was just cursed. So it was just, you were just, for the first time in a long time, you was outmatched. And I'll say it again. I got better faith in my Pittsburgh Steelers making the playoffs than I got in the Cincinnati Bengals. You can go ahead with these next weeks.
That is quite the take. And we already know how I feel about that. Week 15, Browns and Ravens. We already know Deshaun Watson. Sorry, it's a Jacoby Brissett stand account, but Deshaun Watson gonna take that. Either way, hashtag team quarter black. Week 16,
all the way, 100%.
We have the Bengals and the Patriots, which will be a very interesting matchup because
in Foxborough. I don't know if the Bengals will be able to pull this one off. I don't know. We got the Christmas Eve game, you know. Please.
Christmas Eve football, let's go.
Yeah, Pittsburgh got the Raiders that week. So we'll definitely find out a lot about the AFC North this first half of the year. But
week 17, we have the Bengals and the Bills. Big L. Only the way that they'll win that is if the Bills start resting their starters. Because like I told you, they're just playing till they get to the Super Bowl. Like they're just playing.
Not to cut you off, girl, but where's that game at?
Hold on just a moment. Ooh. That game. Paul Brown Stadium.
Ew, no. Never mind. I'll pass on that game. I wanted it to be in Highmark.
And we are closing out the season and the Bengals season with week 18. Like, dang, week 18.
17 games this year.
Yep, week 18. And they're playing the Ravens again. So I'm going to be generous and say that they're going to split these two games.
With 2 games?
With the Ravens. They have 2 games with the Ravens left. I'm going to be very generous.
Because Baltimore might sit their starters because they won't have nothing to lose. Unless they can get enough, no, because they lost to the Bills, so that could be a tie. So that'll be the tiebreaker right there. But yeah.
Cool. So are there any other week 8, week 9 teams, wins, losses that we want to touch on? Tom Brady finally got his win. Is this going to be?
Yes. There's 2 things we got to touch on. We ain't get on them yet.
Let's go.
Well,
all right. So
can we just call the Colts season, the remaining of it, a loss? Listen,
Stacey. Not Stacey, Kayla.
The way
we'll call it whatever you want us to call it.
We're just taking L's for the rest of the season 2022.
Okay.
We started by a loser.
Kayla putting the Colts on the t-shirt. We're making fish plates.
Right. Listen, $5 a plate.
I still got some hope.
Choices inside.
Some hope.
But we fired Coach Frank Reich after he fired our offensive coordinator and got rid of Nyheim Hines. And Stace, to answer your question, Jonathan Taylor was limited in practice today. And Deion Jackson did not practice today. So it's kind of iffy right now. So Zach Moss, who we picked up from the Bills in exchange for Nyheim Hines, might be the next man up this weekend. So not only do we possibly have a new running back in the starting position this weekend, we've got interim head coach and former Colts offensive lineman Jeff Saturday. And if you guys want more specifics on that, that's who Peyton Manning had under center for him. And we have Parks Frazier standing in as offensive coordinator. First, let me say this. What's up?
Go ahead. Finish your statement. I'll ask my question afterwards.
Okay. So, I'll say this before I go too deep in it after Shay, you make your point. Let me say this. Parks, I am very proud of him. When I was with the Colts, he was the assistant to the head coach. So I'm very proud to see his progression with the team over the years, but I can't say that I'm not nervous going into the rest of the season.
Okay. Yeah, so Kayla, I actually wanted to get to more into that because here's the thing. I don't mind the hire. I understand why they went for Jeff Saturday. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's arguably the greatest center of all time in NFL history. He's a former Indianapolis Colts, so he could definitely relate to a lot of these players. He could definitely relate to what is supposed to be the culture in Indianapolis. But there were a lot of people who had huge problems with this because
only high school coaching experience.
Well, yes. And the Rooney Rule.
So that's my concern. Like, you only have high school coaching experience. Don't get me wrong. I was a big fan of Jeff. That team that he played with on Peyton Manning is actually part of the reason that I became a Colts fan. Mm-hmm. But there's a large difference in talent level that he's coaching.
Yeah, he has more experience being an analyst at this point than he does,
Yeah. So what about that? Because a lot of people said they just straight up decided to just not follow the process within the Rooney Rule, which enforces them to look at minorities or Black coaches, et cetera, et cetera. And with Reggie Wayne as the assistant coach on the roster, he wasn't promoted, and a lot of people were upset. So what I want to know from you as a Colts fan, Miss Colts fan, you're our Colts girl up here. How do you feel about that? What are your thoughts on that? Like, are people right or wrong in the situation? Is it being taken overboard, or do you think like there was some process that should have been taken to accountability more than this?
Well, I'll start off by saying this: Indianapolis, we're no stranger to having a Black coach at the helm of the team. That's who we want. We won our first Super Bowl in Indy with Tony Dungy, and on the other side of him we had Lovie Smith in that Super Bowl. So we have a good history with Black coaches. My concern is, though, and I feel like the service, for the lack of a better word, of looking into Black coaches. I feel like, yes, I understand that football and sports in general, it's a business. At the end of the day, that's what it is. But I don't think, generally speaking, across teams, across leagues, I don't think that front offices or GMs understand how important, from whether it's your coach, your athletic trainer, to those that are in a role like me in communications and community outreach, how important it is to have somebody that looks like you involved in different aspects of your everyday playing life. Like, yes, you got all of that coaching that needs to happen. I'm not saying that a qualified coach doesn't need to be picked, but there is an invaluable relationship that comes with somebody that looks like you. They can speak to, hey, look, these are the mistakes that I made coming through the league to get to where I am now. And of course, there's also a personal aspect of that white coaches can't speak to, unfortunately. Again, we saw this in summer 2020, and things like the Trayvon Martin situation a few years ago, which that's crazy to like think that you can say that was several years now, but at the end of the day, majority of these rosters, they take those uniforms off and those are still Black men in America. A white coach can't speak to that. They don't understand that situation. They can be sympathetic to it, but they don't understand. So again, there's a different sense of a relationship that a Black coach can bring, and it's not just an experience thing or a professional thing. Like it's more to it than that. So I feel like if we're just pertaining to the coaching thing, there are plenty of coaches out there that probably should have been looked at. I can't remember who tweeted it, but I saw a tweet of somebody saying like, here's a Black coaching group that was going through a leadership training. Like, I think there might have been like 15, 20 men in that picture. None of them could have been considered. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Jeff Saturday, because I believe he over time he might get the job done and done right. But high school coaching experience, and we just jumped to the NFL, like we're okay with that.
Right. And my thing is, it's the blatant disregard for the process for me. Like, I feel like the Colts announced that they were firing their head coach and almost immediately announced that Jeff Saturday was the new coach. And it's like, did you even take time to even act like you were interviewing people, or that you took time to follow the actual process? And
or the fact that he was actually at the game prior to the firing.
Yep. So and we already know this, regardless of how many Black coaches' time they waste interviewing them and everything, faking going through the process. We already heard Brian Flores said they showed up to his interview late and hungover. Like, it was a formality. So we already know that they have their mind made up about who they want in that role before they even, before they even fire the previous coach. But they didn't even fake like they were going to go through the process. I feel Jeff's appointment to head coach was like too immediate for me. Second of all,
I mean, I kind of respect it, because I'd rather you not do it at all than to fake it, because it's still utter BS either way. But it's just a lack of process for that. It's just a lack of process.
And that's what it is for me. I understand that, like, all right, we ain't gonna BS. We already know who I want, but it's the lack of process. Like we don't even care. We ain't even doing all that. But also, the second thing is, as Kayla mentioned, they had Black coaches going through like a training process and everything like that. And you still picked someone who has high school coaching experience over a myriad of other coaches, Black coaches, that are actively going through coaching, actively going through higher level coaching, actively have had more coaching experience. Someone that is already on your team, that knows your team, knows your strengths, knows your weaknesses, knows how to use your players, who is also African American and is looked over.
For the record, the offensive coordinator that they fired, Marcus Brady, who is also our former quarterback coach, Black man, fired last week by Coach Frank Reich.
Right. So I feel like, since they fired Frank Reich anyway, there should be a statute to that. Since he fired him within a week of him getting fired, they have to bring him back. That's what I feel. I feel like they shouldn't have let Frank fire that man, because they already knew they were going to fire Frank. You don't just up and decide you're going to fire a coach. They already knew. How else did they vet Jeff Saturday and have him in? They fired Frank at 5 p.m. Jeff Saturday was the coach at 5:04.
Back-to-back notifications for my Colts fan out there if you have the app on your phone.
What's up?
Back-to-back notifications on the Colts app. Just in case anybody was wondering, Stacey gave you the time mark stamps. So again, the lack of process. But I know we talked about this before we went live, but just the overall like necessity of somebody that looks like majority of the players across basketball and football, like our presence, like is necessary. Like, I don't care. You guys can get mad at me about the semantics, fans, later. Like, y'all have my Twitter. I have to follow you, so you can blow me up if you want to. You cute. But let's be real. Like, I mean, Stacey, you and I talked about like my examples in practice over the last couple of days. Like, for those that have not seen me in person, I have locks, and majority of my players on my team have locks. Walked into practice today, minded my business, just needed to go to a meeting with our coaching staff and our GM. Player stops me like, hey, yo, where do you get your locks done? I needed mine done like last week. So again, it's not just a professional, like, let me like talk through this process with you. There's a natural familiarity there. Like, okay, your hair looks like mine. I know I can trust you for things off the court or field. And again, it's that lack of understanding and lack of comfortability. Is that a word?
Okay, lack of comfortability.
We're
gonna use it if it's not.
I'll just write in today's so I could tell you I use that word.
But at what point do we act as if athletics is any different than any other workplace? They're still employees for a larger organization, and there's a big DEI push in every sector, every business, every company now. I feel athletes are typically disregarded because of the tax bracket that they're in, just to be quite honest. Like, they'll get over it. They make XYZ $1 million. They'll get over it. And it's untrue and it's not fair. Because at any place that you go to, any of your employees, if they feel undervalued, they're going to underperform.
Right. And
so just because you're paying them a certain amount of money isn't everything to everybody. People have different motivators. And I feel like that is kind of like a piece that is missing outside of the comfortability and relativity. Oh, look at me. Get me outside. The comfortability and relativity.
SAT words.
Let's go. The comfortability and relativity. It always comes out after some teams have terrible seasons that the chemistry itself was so off in the locker room, within the team, and everything else that they couldn't get it together on the field. And small things like that attribute to that. So it seems like unimportant. It seems like, okay, we're here to get a job done and we're here to go home. That's not how it works. Not when you're in, day out, getting pummeled by 300-pound linebackers, or you're a 300-pound linebacker running and pummeling somebody. Like, you have to mentally take yourself there every week. And small things like having that comfort and relatability helps those things. So we definitely have to get ourselves in places in order to help us all make it through. Like, to be quite frank, like what they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Same thing.
Right. And I mean, like you said, with the whole financial situation, I feel like that's even more reason to have some sort of leadership that reflects your players. Like, okay, so you are in this tax bracket. I was in the same situation. Here's what to do and what not to do. Like, let me help you with like navigate that situation. I've been there before. And I feel like it's also important for former athletes to consider, like, okay, what mistakes did you make after you finished playing that you don't want to see these younger players making? Because, I mean, again, I hate to keep bringing up the Colts, but I had a former player post on Instagram, like, yo, who helps out with resumes? As a team, like, why, where was that leadership? So for me, I was like, yo, send me your resume. I can get it over to somebody so that you can get your life in order. And I kid you not, he sent it to me and I looked at it and I'm like, sir, like, why wasn't somebody here for you? Like, why is it taking me realizing that you posted this, that you needed this help?
And here's the thing. Not only why is this service not available and why is it not offered? Why did this gentleman not feel comfortable enough going to someone in his actual organization and asking the same question? Felt like he had to outsource it. So that goes back to the initial point that we brought up.
Where are we?
Where are we?
Plain and
Shay-
simple.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah.
Listen. The point was this. The Rooney Rule that was enforced in the NFL about a couple of years ago, I believe it was 2002, it was enforced, for where minority coaches will have the equal opportunity as non-minority coaches to be considered for a coaching job, particularly, if I'm not mistaken, a head coaching job. And it just stole so many headlines about the Jeff Saturday hiring, which is, as of right now, not a permanent hiring. I think people just are heated on the part where Reggie Wayne, I believe, is the Colts assistant coach. You can definitely back me up here, Kayla. Reggie Wayne, former Colts wide receiver, Super Bowl champion for them, I believe, is the assistant coach. He's a minority, particularly an African-American man. And they feel that since
that also knows the system, just like Jeff Saturday.
That knows the system, knows the culture, knows what the Colts, being a Colt, is supposed to be about. And he was there before Jeff Saturday, and he was the assistant coach. And usually what happens when the head coach is no longer there to take over, the assistant coach, the assistant coach is to be the one that steps up in the absence of the head coach. And since they fired, Frank Roberts, I believe that's the head coach name for the Colts. I could be wrong, but right, there you go. Frank Reich. There you go. When they fired him, Reggie Wayne, the way the process was set up was Reggie Wayne was supposed to be the one to be promoted to interim head coach for the remainder of the season until they could find someone that's suitable for the job, unless Reggie Wayne fills the requirements and fills the needs to be in that position. That process was not followed. The Rooney Rule was not implied. So that created double controversy, which leads to us, like many like us, Joy Taylor on her famous talk show Speak, and along with LaShawn McCoy and all them guys talking about this, because it's now,
for the record, Reggie Wayne is still listed as the wide receivers coach on the Colts website.
Okay, so he's not the assistant coach. So ESPN had the article wrong. There you go. Yeah, I'm throwing them under the bus now because they made me feel like an idiot. Now I got to make them look like an idiot. But yeah, that's just the thing. So it's like whoever was who pretty much, they feel like Reggie Wayne here should have got the same opportunity Jeff Saturday got. They should have interviewed him first and then went there if Reggie Wayne was to reject the idea. That did not happen. They did not interview him. They did not speak to anyone else. They just automatically moved in with Jeff Saturday and just say, you know what, you're going to be the interim head coach for the rest of the season. We're not even going to do the process. We don't give a crap about any other names. We're going to do things our way. It is what it is. We don't care about the Rooney Rule. It's nice that it's there, blah, 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 blah. But what point that Kayla here was making about her Colts, they have history of hiring Black coaches. Tony Dungy, first ever African-American Black coach to win a Super Bowl. And then they had, I believe, Jim Caldwell, I believe that's his name was.
Right after. Shortly after.
Yeah, right, shortly after, when they made the Super Bowl in 2009. Unfortunately,
we lost, but again.
Yeah, but yeah.
We were there.
But you were there. Yeah, but you was there. So it's plain as simple as that. It's like the process they feel like that should have been done for those guys to get the job should have been done for Jeff Saturday, and it wasn't. So they feel like, in other words, on a professional level within the hiring process, it's just racial inequality. And that's pretty much what was implied here in this Jeff Saturday hiring. Now, I'm not one of them that's against it, because Jeff Saturday, yes, he doesn't have the experience for coaching. He does have the experience of playing. He possibly could coach these guys up. People don't know this. People like Bill Belichick probably played one game of football a day in his life and became the greatest head coach of all time. Now, does he have experience elsewhere? Yes. So you could definitely imply that to here, say, well, he was assistant coach in Cleveland before he went to New England, blah, 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 blah. They feel like Jeff Saturday should have started from at least college and worked his way up and then get this job if he's qualified, and he wasn't. And they feel like due to other names that could definitely fit the Colts, who's to me it's always been a happily offensive team, always relied heavily on their offense. Obviously, just build a defense that's good enough to make stops and create, plays here and there. But the offense has always been the stardom of the team. They've always been the face of the side of the ball. So they feel like they should have looked outside to other names before they made that decision. But people underestimate the term interim. What interim means is temporarily. We're not sure if Jeff Saturday's going to maintain the job, or is he going to go back to ESPN and be on Get Up and First Take as a sports analyst. That remains to be seen. They just needed someone to fill in the holes. But the points that Joy Taylor, Kayla, and Stacey, you were making here is the point that the process still should have been done. Other names should have been considered. You did have other names of African American persuasion and minorities, persuasion on the coaching job, on the coaching staff, who could have filled in that spot just a little. Obviously, many like Kayla is thrown in the towel and no longer has faith in her coach to share, just looking for the NFL draft, looking for the NFL draft, looking for free agency, seeing what their team's going to do there. So it's just plain and simple. And I guess with this Jeff Saturday move, maybe the Colts is in that way and just seeing, can he be the guy that coaches team up next year? And if that's the case, yes, he should be considered for the job, depending on how well he does these remaining 8 to 9 games of the season. But the Art Rooney rule, the Rooney rule does need to be implied, and other names does need to be considered before officially making the decision on who is the next head coach going to be.
Well, I'll put this in on this real quick. I just looked at the tweet from the Colts, saying who practiced and who didn't. Let me just tell you some of the replies, and I'm not the only Colts fan that feels this way. Tank for Bryce. Bryce Young, you are an Indianapolis Colt. CJ Stroud, you are a Colt.
You want 2 quarterbacks?
Hey, look, man, I don't coach up these Colts fans. I'm just here to read the replies.
Oh, read the comments. Okay, I got you.
Right, because hey, I'm just here. Let's see, my favorite one for this upcoming week's game. All the Raiders gotta do is run stunts, and they'll have the sack record.
Wow. Okay.
So I mean, it's felt across Colts Nation that the rest of the season is going to be a struggle with or without this, lack of Rooney Rule process.
And I feel
so we just taken all the L's this week, all of them.
I feel that. These are my last 2 points, and I'm gonna wrap on this topic. First, knowing that y'all already done put the Colts on the t-shirt and y'all selling fish plates, why not use this time to experiment and build with an interim coach or with somebody else? 1, 2, I am a firm believer that past experience doesn't always correlate to ability. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. The only reason why I feel strongly about it in this case is because that is the main thing that they use to exclude us from these places. And that's all I got to say about it.
I'll finish on this. I feel like Stacey did, I feel like they might build on it because Mr. Irsay has experience with Jeff. Like Mr. Irsay is very much, with the exception of, these last few moves, like he is very much seeing his team as a family. Like even as an intern, like I knew I was going to be well taken care of. Wasn't even expecting a Christmas gift from the Irsay family. I see a card on my desk when I walked in, getting ready to, lead up to Christmas. It's from the Irsay family. They bought the players that season all new luggage. to travel with. So I mean, he does take good care of those involved in his organization. And I mean, I feel like that will play a big role in them trying to see if they can do something with Jeff Saturday. But I also feel like on the flip side of that, I think Frank lost his job because of the lack of him being able to use the talent that he had on his teams over the last few years. So, I mean, I feel like, yes, while there is a familiarity with Jeff, I don't think there's going to be much wiggle room for him to get his stuff together, but there will be a chance.
All right.
The fact that we got through a whole Colts conversation without even saying Matt Ryan is very indicative of how.
I mean,
Matt
at
Ryan
this
is not-
point, we all know he got benched. We already know he wasn't going much anywhere. Kayla obviously throwing the towel with that guy week 2. Or
I'm
week
just
1.
happy we have a coach under the age of 30, or not a coach, a quarterback under the age of 30. So
Well,
I'm just
so
going,
happy early Christmas, Kayla. That's what you wanted.
hey,
Right.
let's just keep him longer than a year, okay?
All right. So,
And-
ladies,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead, Cease.
Speaking of keeping longer than a year, a segue that you don't want to have, but we learned today that they are now transporting Brittney Griner to the facility where she will start serving out the remainder of her 9-year term. The issue that I have is even her own attorneys don't really have an idea where she's going. And this
Wow.
is where it's starting to get very, very serious, because it was very serious before, but it's getting very serious now, and it's quite frankly getting scary.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna just start off this segment by saying prayers to Mrs. Griner, her loving friends and family in this process, to the entire WNBA family, to all her teammates on the Phoenix Mercury, as this has been nothing more but a rough year for all of you guys. Even though you topped it out, finished out the season, regardless of where you landed or how you finished, for the sake of her, as that's what she would have wanted, whether she was there or not. But I'ma just, excuse me for my language, but I'm gonna say this is the most fucked up situation I have ever dealt with in sports. Outside of the national anthem protest, where everyone was pretty much boycotting Colin Kaepernick on American rights, I've seen a lot of nasty comments about Brittney Griner's sentencing from Americans alone, because she pretty much agreed and co-signed Colin Kaepernick and making this country stand on what it meant or what it's supposed to mean. Like making it mean what it's supposed to mean, making it stand on its word. And because of that, a lot of people here sits here and freaking says that, oh, well, now she will now appreciate what America does. This has nothing to do with what America does, except for what are they going to do to get this girl back home where she belongs, where her loving friends and family, and going from there. That should be the priority. It should not be what else she stands, her sexuality, her voice, or her having some type of manly thingy, whatever. This got nothing to do with that. This is one of our own, okay? One of our own who is pretty much being held hostage and being used as a damn pawn for Russia to pretty much stick it to America due to the mutual disliking within the countries. Because Ukraine is an ally of America. Russia's in a war with Ukraine. So they're going to try to stick it to you. They're going to try to stick it to America as much as they can. And they understand who Brittney Griner is. They know that she's one of the best athletes here. Man or woman, male or female, in any sport you name. What's the question, Kayla?
Do you feel like Brittney has too many intersections for America to really care? What I mean by that, you have a black mask presenting woman
Okay. So
in
like
custody. So just like we'll just look at the last few months of America. Like if you just want to solely look at women,
okay.
I mean, I feel like we don't even get to, you know, have any say what goes on with our bodies in general
Okay,
anymore.
so in other words,
Black people, we just don't matter at all. And then, you know, the LGBT plus community, you know, I don't care what race, how you identify, you know, people
you're
have
not going to be liked, is what you're wondering.
And she's got all of that in one. So would this be different if she wasn't all three of those things at one time?
I'm gonna be
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm gonna just wrap up that point. People are missing the perception of this. And when you say, I understand where you're coming from, because obviously those can be three things that a lot of Americans are not gonna like. And we just gotta call it like it is. More of the story is that could be a factor, unfortunately, even in 2022. With all the, you know, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, etc. clubs available for those who do identify as that, can open up and be around people that they know that can trust, that are just like them. And then you know what's going on with Blacks individually.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a real dilemma, because now that can definitely play a role in Russia too. Because people don't understand this is an issue in Russia as well. And the fact that she could be that, she is that, she already confirmed she's a married woman to another woman. And the fact that it could be that, plus she's an American, could definitely cause a real controversy. And Russia is definitely, without question, is making it hard. But America, they have to start finding ways to bring better effort into this, because it's clear as day Russia's going to play hardball with them in order for them to get one of their own citizens back. A citizen that, well, not saying that, you know, the other citizens who are locked up over there doesn't matter if there are any, but a citizen that we all know many would give a damn about, because one, she's an athlete, two, she's one of the best, and three, we all know the impact she has for women, for the sports industry, for the sport of basketball, period. So it could definitely be a factor, and it could, and maybe America is not making enough effort because of that. That can definitely, you can't rule that out, because we know all the internal conflicts that is going on in this country already as it is, with the abortion thing now being in law, that they could ban it from states, blah, 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 which is utter BS. I'm glad that some of the elections, or some of the Democratic elections, went the way they went this past week. Thank God. But it's just, this situation is just mind-blowing. You know, It's just mind-blowing, because it's, at this rate, it's really no words other than bring her home. Everyone pretty much already expressed how they feel. I don't think our emotions are going to change. If anything, we're just going to be a lot more angry and frustrated, because how are you? Okay. According to ESPN, and this was reported by ESPN, they were not allowed to move her until the family officially received the letter that they're moving her to the Russian prison, or to what they call it. I believe is the Panel, something like that. More of the story is, they were not aware. They moved her, I believe. They were not aware pretty much until this Tuesday, like this past Tuesday, that she was being moved, that she's already been moved. And it takes about 2 weeks for them to get the notification letter that they're moving her. But the fact that she appealed the trial and the trial got denied is utter BS. I think that they feared that if she was to get the appeal and they were to appeal her, they would have to let her free, or at least minimize her sentencing. And that's not what they want. They want to keep her in there as much as possible to stick it to America, to make her life miserable. And America's going to have to find a way sooner rather than later to bring her home. Because if not, we talking about her freedom. We can also be talking about her WNBA career, which can practically be the nearing to the end by the time she is freed. And with all hope, if she makes it that long, wherever they are placing her.
Shit, we're talking about her life at this point. Like,
Yes.
WNBA career aside, everything else aside, we're literally talking about her life at this point. Of all the prisons in the world that you,
Yeah, I am not excluding that at all.
Is no, absolutely not saying that you were. But here's my thing. We have already dropped the ball. What happened yesterday? Midterm elections. Energy goes where attention flows. They've had every opportunity, including athletes, including some of your favorite male athletes, including some of your notable female athletes, including athletes on her team, in her home, in the city that she plays in, pressing the officials to make it important on their agenda. And I know we have 1,000 other things.
And let me run this back
1,013.
really quick. NBA and G League offices were closed so people could vote and volunteer at their local polling places.
Exactly. So we have already missed the first mark. We individually know we can't go up against the Russian government, but we know people who can. Even if it takes a year or two, making it something on, putting it on the political agenda, making it important to the political agenda. You know, when it comes time to get votes, they're going to do whatever they can to try to get those votes. So if we, including our favorite athletes, male and female, continue to press, we see something comes out, we say something about it, oh, we hate it, this sucks, that's sad, prayers, 2 days, next thing. We don't talk about Brittney until the next story about Brittney comes out. It has to be continuous. It has to be fierce. And we have to continue to take it up the ladder. It should have been out of all the states, all of the cities, all the primaries, especially the city that she plays in and her hometown. 2 cities that should have relentlessly, hey, but what about this? Hey, but what about this? Hey, but what about this? You have to make it important enough to them for them to take it on up. By the time even you get to the presidential election, which is going to be in way less time than her prison sentence is over, it'll be something that a presidential candidate would have to address if you don't already press the sitting president enough to make sure this is on the top of the agenda. And that is how I feel about that.
I'm gonna drop my initial question in here one more time, because again, I feel like it has potential to touch a lot of topics that states needed to look at. Again, this is a Black woman in America. Again, reproductive rights is an issue. And then if we really want to get into Black mortality, maternal mortality rates.
Without adding LGBTQ, you can stop at Black woman.
And their healthcare and LGBT plus healthcare. Like, again, like, even if, yes, we need to focus on getting her home. But again, like, and I hate to use her situation to highlight just the shit ton of things that America needs to do better at. But again, you have 3 groups of people represented by this one person that is touched by a lot of major issues that we needed to vote on yesterday, regardless of what state you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
So again, this is going to be my plug for anybody that's not wanting to vote, didn't vote, doesn't know if they're registered to vote. A lot of these issues that were talked about leading up to yesterday, please read up on them. Like, they touch you in more than one way.
Yeah, because
and again, the concern is the NBA, which WNBA falls under this umbrella, and the G League offices were closed.
So
for
clearly
people
it's
to.
something that the NBA is acting as if it's very important to them. And that's why I started with athletes have to make it a point to make it important to them to get the trickle down effect. If it's important to your favorite athlete, it'll be important to their fans and their constituency. And we fight
Definitely.
about athletes sometimes. We will fake care about some things sometimes because our favorite athlete likes it. But I mean, sports and music are two of the things that are transcended and universal. So you have a greater impact as an athlete to get things done than the average person does. If more athletes, regardless of the sport that you play, regardless of your gender, regardless of what level that you're at, made it a point to continuously advocate for Brittney Griner and her current situation, we would see way more headway than what we have now.
Yeah, but shout out to Stephen Curry, though. Shout out to Steph Curry for bringing it up during his ring ceremony, though, because truth be told, yes, he had to do that, but many people will say that he didn't. But the fact that he did, and he brought it up during the time that he know everyone was going to be watching because it's the ring ceremony, them being the defending NBA Finals champions, that was real sincere. That was honestly random because even though I'm not saying he's a bad person and he doesn't care, I did not expect him to bring it up at that moment. So the fact that he did and he brought it to people's attention and reminded everyone that even though we are in a new season, we still got an issue with one of our own athletes, one of our own citizens, and she's still one of us that needs to be brought home. And I think the part where a lot of people missing out on is like they want to keep paying attention to, like I said before, the BS where she was, I'm not going to say BS because I actually agree with her and Colin Kaepernick on the situation, and we all could figure out why. We all know why. Those who believe in race and gender equality would definitely agree with him on this, but agree with them both on that. But they're trying to use that as pretty much a pawn to keep freeloading off the fact that she should next time appreciate America more because she's being detained now in a country where the rights there are not the rights here. But what they do not understand, if she was to die tomorrow, are you going to say the same thing? Are you going to say the same things you're saying right now? Are you going to be saying, rest in peace, Brittney Griner, we're sorry for your loss, blah, blah, blah? Like, okay, if you're going to love the woman and you're going to support the woman and you're going to embrace the woman, do it now. Do not get me wrong. I am not predicting death. I am not. That's the last thing I want to happen to her. The second to last thing will be the situation she's in right now. I want her home. I want her to continue her WNBA career. But if she can't, give the girl the life of freedom that she deserves. You know, I don't feel like it should have been a harsh sentence like this. I think she should have just got a fine, maybe, but that's about it. It should have not got taken this far. And I feel like if Brittney Griner was not an American or someone affiliated with America, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now because it would have never got taken this far. We would have had this discussion when she was arrested, and then she probably would have got, the slap on the wrist, the fine, and then she would have been able to go back home to her country. She would have not been in this situation that she's in, but because she is an American who, like I said, is an enemy of Russia, they're going to use her as a pawn to stick it to America because they know she's a WNBA star. They know that she's a star in the sports industry. They know how much she means to both women and sports. So they can find a way and how much she means to America, the country, as a citizen of their own, and that's one of the most popular names in America. So they could find a way to stick it to Brittney Griner. I mean, not only Griner, her family and the WNBA, but to America in general, they're going to do so. And this is unfortunate because it's one of our own. It's one of our own. It would be unfortunate either way, but it hits home even more because 1, she's a woman. 2, she's a Black woman. And 3, she's an American Black woman. We remove the sexuality identity out of it. Remove all of that. Remove that she's an NBA star. We know WNBA star. We know this already. We know what Brittney Griner occupation is. But we also know that she's a human being just like the rest of us. She's someone who was just not fairly tried in my opinion. Like, honestly, probably like any of us would be if we go over there. And I want to get into a little more about what could this mean for the future of the WNBA with the traveling overseas now? Because
Before we
that's the
get
question
there,
that's up in the air. And their
before we get
wages and
there,
coming up and stuff. But yes, we could definitely get there after you guys wrap up your points. But that's all I
yeah.
want to say.
This is all I want to say on that. For my folks that I know there are going to be plenty of people that disagree with me on this. And before I get to that, I want to say this. Yes, I am one of those people that agreed with Colin kneeling, but I also want to follow that up with, and I had this conversation with one of my coworkers yesterday. I have nothing against police officers, nothing against law enforcement or military personnel, because I know I'm too selfish to put my life on the line for people I don't know. I will admit that. But at the same time,
my uncle's a police officer, so I'm not against law enforcement either.
Right. And I know that there are good officers out there because I know they've come through for me. But one, on that point, get your friends together that aren't. But aside from that, it's not so much about she should have appreciated what she had in America. And again, Stacey and I had this conversation before we got started. At the end of the day, Black athletes have to take off your favorite team's jerseys. And they're still just a Black person in America that has to deal with all of the issues that come with being Black in America.
Exactly.
That those jerseys and that team name means nothing when they take them off. So miss me with she needed to appreciate that. And I mean, to make it, normal person, for those that, say she's an athlete, she's got privilege.
Where's
her wife is sitting at home concerned about her. She's got to lay awake. Just like during the summer of 2020, I have to worry about my little brother making it to and from work, working the grave night shift. That same level of worry that I had, that's what Brittney's wife is going through.
Along with her family.
So miss me with that. She needs to appreciate that. So and I will take this point, like, please don't associate this with, the greater good of the group. But for those of our listeners that are of the majority, there's a difference in level of privilege. And I mean, even with myself, there's a different level of privilege that I have even as a Black person in America, because my skin tone is a little closer to yours. So please miss me with this. She needed to appreciate that. You're speaking from a place of privilege that some of y'all just keep failing to
understand. There's a difference. It's a huge difference. And I'm actually glad you brought that up, Kayla, because see, people forget a little time in history, about the brown paper bag thingy that once happened in America, that if you're not as light or lighter than that paper bag, you're not gonna get human treatment, pretty much. And it hurts.
For the Blue Vein Society, which a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah. And it hurts. It hurts because we are, in some areas of America, you're still dealing with it in 2022. To me, someone's skin color or something like that shouldn't even matter, because it's like, it's plain as simple as this. It's what a person is on the inside that should matter, not on the outside. And I don't think, Stacey's screen disappeared. But I'm gonna just continue on. I don't think this is something that should have just been brought into power. Oh, there you are. Okay. So I don't think, it's just people just overlook the truth of history. When America first got started, the original America is not the America we're seeing today. One, it was mainly a Native American, if not indefinitely a Native American land. They were enslaved. They were beaten. They were pretty much handed diseases, which caused some of them to die off. Others committed suicide. Others were killed. when the Europeans started taking over. Then, unfortunately, the blacks was next, which is how we started the slavery that we all are, we all were once being taught about when we were in school. Then it led to the Jim Crow laws down south, where the brown paper bag rule comes into play. That if you're not a certain color, or if you're not lighter than that certain color, then it's pretty much downhill from there. People needs to stop saying appreciate America. America needs to start being more of what it's supposed to mean before we appreciate anything. Now, do not get me wrong. I love being an American. I'm a proud American. And I love the fact that I have rights that I know that others don't have. But right is right, wrong is wrong, regardless of the nationality or the country that you're in. And a lot of people just dismisses that because unlike others, they are privileged. You need to stop using your privilege to identify how someone else who clearly doesn't have those privileges as you should feel. You need to stop it. And some people, and a bird in my ear one time told me that maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump's presidency could have possibly been a good thing for America, even though I'm not a Trump supporter. I did not vote for him. I was not legalized to vote. But it's because it truly exposed something that needed to be exposed, that there are two Americas within one country, and it's supposed to be one. That's what people like Colin Kaepernick was fighting for with the national anthem protest. Brittney Griner and others joined along with him. You had celebrities like Cardi B who joined the I Know My Rights campaign by Colin Kaepernick. This is what it's about. Enforcing America to mean what it's supposed to mean. And forcing them to enforce the amendments that were gifted to them when it was created. That was all signed for every American. Freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of this, freedom of that, things like that. And the problem with a lot of Americans, a lot of people who are privileged, they don't understand that they may not be limited to you, but it's limited to others who are not like you. So stop saying appreciate a country that clearly shown us within this past decade alone with all the racial situations, racial injustice situations, court rulings that clearly should have been the other way around or should have been a different outcome, that we should appreciate a country that clearly shows two different sides and that there's two different sides of. You can't appreciate a country that's supposed to mean one thing and only enforces that meaning for one race when it's clearly more than one race that created this country. This country originally started off of a race that is not even being privileged as the race that is. Let's call it like it is. You can't appreciate a country so far that just pretty much has two different meanings. It has two different meanings. It's clearly two different Americas. And that's what people like Donald Trump exposed, even though I feel he was part of them. I have my emotions about Trump, and I believe I have every right, but who also you can't. Because, okay, if America was the same country, why was there a civil war between the Black Panther and the Ku Klux Klan? Answer that question. There's a reason why events like that has happened. Bloody Sunday has happened. Police brutality is still something that is happening today. Might not be getting the attention that it still should be, but that's happening today. Now we got people who's telling others what to do with their own bodies, which is taking it back 50 to 60 years backwards when we're supposed to be moving forward in 2022.
Stacey, I feel like you got all of the things to say. I feel like you got all of the things.
I mean, she does. She was just waiting for me to wrap up my point, but my point is this. Do not ask anyone here who doesn't have the same privileges as you to appreciate a country that only wants to benefit its rights to one race. The point is, you gotta benefit those rights to all races and all citizens who are Americans, period. You cannot appreciate a country that takes pride in having two different sides when it needs to just be one. Go on, Stacey.
I feel like that is the perfect segue into the next topic. My final thought on this was a simple two-liner.
Go ahead.
If the media gave this much continuous attention to this as they're doing to Kyrie, she would be home. With that being said, Kyrie Irving, if you are not for some reason up on this by now, Kyrie Irving, we already know that he subscribes to he marches to the beat of his own drum. He has different ideals. He explores different concepts as he rightfully should. He rightfully should express them while exploring, learning, educating himself, and attempting to educate others. He posted a movie poster of a movie that happened to be anti-Semitic. Now, I cannot personally speak on whether or not he knew that the movie was anti-Semitic, but once he realized that it was brought to his attention, he took it down. He explained his point of view on everything. The basis of that was his intention was not to express any anti-Semitism because he is not anti-Semitic. And eventually he did apologize. The apology was too late for him, according to a lot of people. So he has been pretty much pitched everything short of getting kicked out of the league. So now he has to undergo a series of tasks, of requirements in order to be considered to play again. Yeah. And I want to know, on the heels of our last conversation to the segue, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts personally, I feel the Kyrie Irving situation. I understand where both sides is coming from, but we have bigger fish to fry in this sports industry alone, let alone in this country, than a guy posting a freaking movie poster on his Instagram account or social media account, wherever it's from. I actually forgot, but I'm pretty sure it was Instagram, and getting suspended from the league or get suspended by the Nets. I don't think he should have been suspended. I think that was taken a little too out of context, in my opinion. I think, maybe he should have been fined, not suspended. I don't think he violated the league's rules in any way, shape, or form. And we got bigger things to worry about in sports. Like you said, the Brittney Griner situation. We should be talking about that because Kyrie Irving still got his freedom. Kyrie Irving can still walk the American streets. Kyrie Irving is not locked in a freaking Russian prison being sentenced or being sent somewhere and placed in West Bubblefuck in a country that is clearly what you call enemy territory. Then you got, why is no one stealing? Why did we have all this talk when NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre apparently took money over billions of dollars out from the Black community, pretty much, I believe it was, or a community in Mississippi. I really, I skipped through, poor income. I skipped through the stories, I skipped through just to see what's up, just to get the 411. But there's a little details, clearly, I've shown that I've forgotten. But why didn't we have these stories then? Where was the headlines? Where's the camera time for that? Because I'm pretty sure that people like Kyrie, who is pretty much being villainized right now by pretty much everyone, including a lot of people in his in the sports industry, including his own former teammate, LeBron James, who should be worrying about these Lakers right now, not what his former teammate is out here doing on his social media page, which, like I said before, got taken out of context because you ain't speak out.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
What does Brett Favre have that the other two don't?
Brett Favre
is a white man in America.
Correct. And
Dang
that's
it,
the
I was
problem
gonna
here.
say Wrangler jeans. Go ahead.
And that's the problem right there. It's the fact that he's the one who committed an actual crime. He's the one who illegally took money from a poor state, a poor community, millions of dollars.
What does the
That's a
majority of
million.
that population look like, though?
But I understand where you're coming from, Gayla. I understand. But we've got bigger fish to fry than this Kyrie situation.
Yeah.
We
And
got
here's-
bigger fish to fry. And the
here's
fact
my-
that the fish is not even being looked at right now, it's the part that's pissing me off. Everyone's trying to see, except for saving our Black people from tragedy, or, tragedy, we are pretty much promoting our people in tragedy. Because why, first of all, a white man, a multimillionaire white man, just stole money out of a Black community, a poor Black community in Mississippi. Not one headline, not one story talk, no nothing.
It's a water crisis.
No. There's, but we're talking about sports right now, Kayla. We're talking about Brett Favre in that situation, Kayla. And we're talking about the fact that why did it only took Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on their show, Undisputed, with Skip and Shannon, to be the only ones out of all to bring it up. We're talking about that. Let's talk about that.
Play. They don't care. They just want us to play. That's all.
But that's the point here, Kayla. So if they just want us to play, why does this Kyrie situation matter so much? Why the hell ain't Brittney Griner home? We need to be worried about that. That's bigger fish to fry right now. Money just got taken.
Be quiet and leave all that stuff alone. They're not focused on what they need to focus, so we have to punish them for stepping out of line.
And that's the point.
And that is my point. In no way, shape, or form, under any circumstances, should anti-Semitism and racism should be tolerated in any professional setting, in any private setting, in any personal, in any place where you're representing yourself publicly, your brand or your team or whomever. Especially racism of any form should not be tolerated. That being said, I feel that there hasn't been consistency in how this has been handled with the various situations where this has come up with the shoe has been on the other foot in the past. Off the top of my head, and y'all can say he's a nobody, he doesn't matter. Richie Incognito. Y'all remember him? Hello?
Stace, can you repeat your question?
Oh, I was like, my issue is the inconsistency in how this has been handled. If the Kyrie protocol has been the consistent protocol when any type of racist display, verbalization, act has been brought to the forefront, if that has been the consistent protocol when it comes to that, then absolutely. I feel like when there has been racist statements, racist displays in the past, that it was okay, $15,000 fine, and sit out a game, and then you're back and you don't hear about it anymore. This has been my issue. If this is going to be the protocol for this going forward, then by all means, have Kyrie go through the steps that he needs to be reinstated, to play again. But this needs to be the thing for each and every person. I brought up Richie Incognito in the NFL, who was in the locker room and was openly racist to his teammates and also publicly made racist statements. You barely heard anything about it.
Well, it's not like consistently managed. I mean, not even just on a platform of race. That lineman in Seattle that beat his girlfriend unconscious, and his response was, "Oh, I thought you were dead when she came to." Where are we on that news? That story magically disappeared, and guess what? His girlfriend was Black. So, but I mean, Ray Rice beats up his girlfriend on camera, and CNN had that video. And again, I don't remember this young man's name that beat his girlfriend unconscious, but he didn't have his medication, which I'm here. I don't take mental health lightly, and I don't think we should at all. But can we say that? Why can't we say that, maybe the pressure to perform is causing Kyrie stress, and maybe what he's using his own personal platform for is just a response to him being stressed.
And if there is going to be zero tolerance and zero excuse for any outward display of racism, which there absolutely should be, regardless of what race is speaking on whatever race, there is no room for that anywhere. But there needs to be a consistent protocol for those things. I have not witnessed anything like what's happening with Kyrie right now.
I will raise you this question though. Do you feel like sports in general are just using, I'll start with the NFL, are you the stickers that have been worn on the back of the helmets, the things that have been posted in the end zones, the NBA doing their shirts, do you feel like that's just a Band-Aid for them to say, oh, look, we're trying, we really do care? And then, I mean, to your point, now we have these situations with Kyrie, and it's like,
it's not a Band-Aid, it's a pacifier. What we have learned up to this point now, and I mean, I guess you can dash all my NFL hopes out the window, but the NFL is very reactionary, very reactionary. They weren't thinking about putting anything on a helmet, putting anything on the field, joining together to kneel or do anything until it had gotten so out of control that they had no choice but to address it. If they could have gotten rid of Colin Kaepernick without anyone making a peep, they would have done it. I don't think that they expected or were prepared for what ensued when Colin Kaepernick started to take his stand. So there had to be something in place. There had to be a social justice initiative in place. There had to be these things, because at the end of the day, it's still a business. You don't want to alienate a large part of your consumer base. Am I saying it's 100% for show? Absolutely not. I'll say it's 84%.
All right. Kayla, Stacey, would you guys like to land any more points before we move on back to the NFL? Speaking of which,
nah, I don't want to get canceled.
Listen, I don't think anyone's going to cancel this show because we're speaking on things that should be spoken further on other shows. But, we're not here to throw shade. We're just here to talk our sports, get our minds right, speak our minds, and just call it like it is. But of course, bring the facts that backs up our takes, which I think we're doing a great job at.
With that being said, I want to reiterate, I do not support any anti-Semitic remarks in any way. I do
Facts.
not.
We do not do that. We don't do that.
We don't do that. I personally, Michela and Kayla, this mic drops,
Girl, you got the
podcast that we are
wrong.
on does not support such things.
Thank you. The mic bomb does not do that.
I am against this. We don't support any type of racial slurs used against anybody at
We don't.
all.
I definitely don't.
All we are asking is that if you're
Keep
going
the
to
same energy.
punish people. Exactly. Keep that same energy. Remember,
If you're gonna get one, get them all, or
Get
don't
'em
say anything to anything.
That is
Anything to anyone.
yes, that is what we want you to take away from this. If you're going to get one, get them all.
All right, ladies. So there's two topics I think we should land on right now. And I don't know which one should we start off with the NFL before we move on to week 10. And that's a little more going back a little more into week 9. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers first, or trouble in paradise in LA with the defending Super Bowl champions, the Los Angeles Rams? Because, there's a lot to chop about there. Which one do y'all think we should land first? Just get it out the way.
We've already kind of touched on Aaron Rodgers a little bit, so we can go ahead on first into the booty cheeks that are the LA Rams.
All right. But yeah, I'm just asking about Green Bay because it's getting bad. Even when Lil Wayne called out his quarterback on Twitter this past Sunday, saying that it's time for the team to move on from Rodgers. The season is in forks, something like that. He pretty much called it quits on the season, saying that the Packers should move on. So I just wanted to know, did you ladies think that it is now time for the Jordan Love era in Green Bay, since everyone is clearly starting to be over Rodgers at this point, all Packers Nation?
First of all, I want to say Lil Wayne is diehard New Orleans, and I don't know where Green Bay came from, so I don't even trust that.
Yeah.
That's a
Right. He said he's always been a Packers fan, even though he's from New Orleans. But
being very, very upset when the Falcons were actually competitive and in the playoffs, and we played Green Bay, and that's when I first realized that Wayne was a diehard Packers fan. I just remember being so baffled and so confused.
Yeah, because NOLA doesn't usually play that. They don't play that in NOLA.
At all. But yeah, I said it last episode, and I will continue to say it. It has been time for the Jordan Love era. Why do you have him there just to sit him on the bench? Free that man, if anything else. There are plenty of other quarterbacks.
So you think that it's time
for a quarterback to develop if they're not going to use them?
Okay. I mean, that's valid. If Kayla wants to tap into this, you definitely can. But I'm gonna go back to you, Stacey. So in other words, right, just to clear your more view, do you think Aaron Rodgers should retire, or is it time for Aaron Rodgers to find another team? Because Green Bay is clearly slowly but surely starting to not become home for him. I think a lot of people calling for him to retire. So I just want to know your take on this.
I think it's time for him to retire. I think he has a little bit of gas still in the tank. I feel like it's time for him to find another team. People have been calling for Tom Brady's retirement for years before he even made it to Tampa Bay.
Agree.
And he went to Tampa Bay his first year, and dag nabbit if he didn't get a Super Bowl. So I feel like it's just time for Aaron Rodgers to mosey on him.
Like to go to another team. Okay, so we could definitely get into next episode because there's a lot more to cover in this one about where, what team should be top tier for Aaron Rodgers to land. Kayla, would you like to have any thoughts on this comment before we move on to Trouble in Paradise in LA, or do you just want to ship on?
I will say this. If we are going to call for Aaron to be gone, we can't. I feel like we can't avoid that. Tom has been struggling too, so if we're gonna call for one to retire, I feel like we need to look at both of them and be like, is it time for the both of them to sit down and let these young quarterbacks get a chance? Because like I said, Tom can sit down right now today and still be a GOAT,
or be the GOAT regardless. Yeah,
right. I feel like Aaron has done a decent job in his career too. Like, I feel like, we had some off the court mess that I wish he would have got his life in order. But aside from that, like, I feel like that doesn't take away from the talent that he's given the Packers over the past few years. But I do agree with Stacey, like, to just answer your question of maybe it is time for him to go to a different team, or maybe just get him some more tools.
That's valid. Pretty much I heard a little bit of everything. I won't call for him to retire because, truth be told, we didn't see him in much of a fair situation, in my opinion, in Green Bay for him to retire. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, obviously, I think he's done after this year. I think he's just going to make one last good run and then call it a career. I think he got too much money wait for him in Fox to even pass up on that another year. You don't have anything left to prove. So got you, Stace. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Moving forward though. Trouble in Paradise is in LA. The Rams surprisingly are below 500 right now. They're 3-5, and I believe they're third place right now in the NFC West division, where things are just getting ugly and only gotten uglier after Sunday's loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where do they go from here, Kayla?
I think it's time for them to take a seat back and use this offseason to kind of reset and refocus and get recalibrated. I feel like that's for a lot of teams that just need to take this time, my Colts included, to really focus on this offseason. And I feel like that's what they need to do. I mean, you can only be great for so long. And for some teams that they fizzle out a little bit sooner than others. And I feel like they're slowly starting to fizzle.
Yeah, I'm starting to agree with that a little here. I just feel like everyone here. Okay, the Rams season, I talked to a couple of Rams fans. They pretty much stick the fork and threw in the towel for the season. So they stick the fork in the season. They threw in the towel. They don't have no faith. They see the Seahawks practically running away with this division, getting swept by the 49ers early in the season. The first half of the season, I believe, didn't really put much of an umph on their season. So they definitely are looking forward to fixing that next year or whenever they get a first round pick back. But you got to look at this. Recently, apparently, according to many on ESPN, this is where I originally got, my info from. Their cornerback, though, Jalen Ramsey, apparently called out the offense according, and you know what? I'm throwing them under the bus. Michael Irvin, Stephen A, and Dan Orlovsky. They were the ones who originally brought this up. They pretty much said that he apparently said that their offense, quote unquote, sucks. And it's pretty much holding, well, not I'm going to say holding the team back, but it's just not good right now. And that plays rolling while they're losing. And they feel like the defense shouldn't have to go back out there after making a huge fourth down stop on Brady and the Bucs the previous drive before Stafford and them, I believe, turned it over on downs and gave Tampa Bay practically short fieldage to do what Brady did, which I believe I can't even count how many fourth quarter comebacks he has now. I know he has the record because Ben is second behind him, Ben is second behind him and Drew Brees, something like that. But point is this. What are your thoughts about him saying the offense sucks? Do you think the offense is more the problem? Do you think the defense is more the problem? Because here could be the flip side to it. You guys were the ones who gave up the touchdown. You guys were the ones who gave them space to run out of bounds when they had no timeouts left. And you were also the ones to get them back into the game. They gave you 10 points. Good defenses usually close the door. They didn't. That could be the offense excuse, but the defense excuse could be you should have averaged more points, blah, 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 blah. So with all of this being said, who you think is the sole sore problem here in LA? Is it going to be Matthew Stafford in the offense or Jalen Ramsey in the defense?
I feel like it's not just an offense or defensive side of the ball thing. I feel like if you got a player, regardless of their position, saying something like that,
it's a team's issue.
Yeah, it's a team's issue. Because if that's the mood of one player, how many players are sharing in on that same mentality? And if that's a shared mentality, if I'm head coach, if I'm GM, I need to sit my guys down and on meeting team meetings to be like, yo, why are we feeling this way? Why can't we get our stuff together as a team?
Yeah, I agree. I just think that personally, this situation could get taken out of proportion. You know, I don't think Jalen meant any harm towards the offense, other than you guys got to step it up, and he's right on that one. They do. The offense legitimately, you could argue, practically cost them every game this year. Matthew Stafford, constant pick sixes, turnovers, which put the defense in short fieldage versus the opposing offenses, which means they're, most likely they're going to score depending on which offense that you're going to play or what type of offense, where the level of good that they're at, level bad, depending on, just depend on the overall level. Let's just keep it like that. That they're at, of your opponent's offense is at. But it's just plain as simple as this. It's just like, it's clear frustration, and rightfully so. Just about a little less than a year ago, you was on top of the world. You practically brought back everybody but Von Miller and OBJ, who it's been a hot topic now that the half of the season is out the way, and he has finally cleared the protocols to be able to sign to an NFL team, as he is healed now from his second ACL injury, which is something I really want to get into about, where should he land, things like this, and go from there. But the Rams, is it time for them to stick in the fort and call it a season, or should they keep fighting to see where it goes and possibly sneak in for a wild card round?
I mean, I feel like they can, if they have that team meeting and get their lives in order and make sure everybody's on the same page, I think they'll be okay. I'm not going to put them in the same category with my Colts and need to go ahead and find a new couch during the off season. I feel like they just need to do a temperature check in the locker room. Because again, I don't feel like he's the only one that feels that way.
Right.
So if he's not the only one that feels that way, they're not gonna get it any better. So they definitely need to do a locker room temperature check.
So you feel like it's time for,
they'll be fine.
Yeah, so it's time for pretty much a clear the air moment.
Right. Air your grievances.
I just think that
a plan to move on and at least try to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I want to throw out the Rams just yet. Sean McVay is another head coach who's never had a losing record season. And this year's is pretty much a weird year. Like, you really can't throw anybody out but the Lions and the Jaguars. And that's pretty much it. Or can you really throw the Jags out just yet? No. Depending on who they're playing down the road, it's real hard, because this can be, people don't get that this year's so weird that you can't even be surprised if there's a flip side to this come January, where the teams that were supposed to make it doesn't make it, and the teams that weren't are the ones who made it. Now, it's clear as day that, in my opinion, especially in the AFC, the number 1 and number 2 seeds are on lock. I think Buffalo definitely got the number 1 seed down lock, because most of their divisional games now are going to be at home. And I just feel like that gives them a huge advantage. And then the icing on top of the cake, I feel that Kansas City is just going to take that number 2 spot. And I don't think, at least until next year, that the number 1 and the number 2 spot in the AFC is going to change. Maybe in another year or two, but not right now. But the Rams, I'm not sure should they throw in the season. I'm not ready to throw out the Rams just yet, because the weird season that we're having, it's just, you don't know. You don't know. Maybe Matthew Stafford could turn up, shake hands.
Honey,
Stacey is ready for the season. We glad that you're back, Stacey. We're glad that you're back. We was just reaching on this topic here. Kayla already gave her thoughts, so I'm gonna just get you updated. I'm not ready. I'm not sure what we're gonna get out of LA. We just want to hear your thoughts. Oh, she finally turned her camera back on. We see, thank God. But anyway,
I can tell you what you're not gonna get out of LA.
You know what, Stacey? I already shared our takes. Most likely when y'all watch this episode, we're gonna know what pretty much each other says. So Stacey, you just give your thoughts because we already gave ours, and I'm pretty sure Kayla and I don't have much to say else. But you do.
Mine is short and simple and to the point. I already have given my thoughts. I can tell you what you're not gonna get out of the Rams. Another Super Bowl. You barely are gonna get a playoff appearance. Like, what did he say on Players Club? Did you at least pinch to be? Like, dang, they are struggling. Matthew Stafford has had lingering injuries all throughout the season. They are clearly missing OBJ. They are clearly missing Von Miller, who you would think subsequently wouldn't be a big. Well, he's a big addition or subtraction on any team, but you were thinking, okay, maybe they can make it through. There's just so many holes on this team now, and they have either they've been exposed or Matthew Stafford has been exposed. But
I go with B.
Yeah, but either way, B is for booty cheeks because that's what they are right now, and B is for bottom of the division, which they will stay at, and that's all I got to say.
Wow, Stacey, not that you said booty cheeks. Hopefully nobody from the Rams, well, not a couple of them follow the podcast, so they might just hear this. But yeah, so far it's been disappointing in LA.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right.
And if they're honest with themselves, they're not playing the best right now. It's amplified because you were literally coming off of a Super Bowl win, not even a Super Bowl season or a contending season. You won the Super Bowl last year, and you're not even close to 500.
Yeah, Super Bowl hangover.
You need to be less concerned about being offended by me and more concerned about,
your team.
Hello.
All right. So we wrapped up NFL Week 8 and Week 9. Has anybody watched the MLB World Series?
I was in game, so I missed the first few innings, but shout outs to Rusty.
Yeah. The Houston Astros won
took it again.
Yeah, they did it again. They beat the Philadelphia Phillies in series 4-2, securing in Game 6 a 4-1 win, and Houston, which secured their second World Series championship in franchise history.
Without an asterisk, might we add?
Yeah.
Because the last one they had did not come without controversy.
Yeah.
So maybe, and a lot of people didn't want them to get this Super Bowl because I'm still in football. Didn't get this World Series because of how they obtained it last time. They left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But
because they cheated.
Because they clearly cheated. But I honestly wanted Philly to win because I honestly believe that, how Tampa that year, did they hit the trifecta where they won the Super Bowl? They won the hockey tournament. They won the not
the Lightning, yeah. They won the Stanley Cup.
Cup, yes.
Oh, speaking of cups, go Pens, but go ahead.
Right. Go Pens. But yeah, so I wanted that for Philly this year. And that was my selfish reason for actually pulling for the Phillies. And in retrospect, I am happy that the Astros, up until this point, TBD, have secured the World Series win on their own recognizance without any funny business. So congrats to them.
Yeah, congrats to them. As a Yankee fan, it's leave a salty taste in my damn mouth after that embarrassing sweep that happened in the Bronx, where my Yankees pretty much got beat down, destroyed, embarrassed, humiliated, etc., etc. So
British fans understand.
Oh, okay. I mean, at least you made it to October baseball. I'm still trying to figure out where this damn goat came from. We summoned him. My Cubs look terrible. I need this goat to go back wherever the hell he came from.
Well, Listen up. My Yankees hasn't won a freaking World Series since 2009, and I was 10 years old. So join the club of your teams contending but not doing so well when they do. But I can't be a hater. You know, the Astros wanted the smoke. They handed it to everyone's ass that had something to say and did what they had to do. Won it all, you know, securing their second World Series. Their manager becoming the oldest manager in MLB history to win it. So congrats to that guy.
Team Black manager, you know.
Yeah, Black manager. So you know, you got root for the brothers in the culture. So yeah, obviously I expect Houston to possibly be back next year, depending on what the Yankees are going to do. I think that's going to be the only team in the East, you know, in the American League that can pretty much even think to compete with Houston, even though they just got destroyed by them. But depending on the Aaron Judge situation, depending on the Giancarlo situation, we're not even sure if the Yankees roster is even going to look the same to even think about Houston. I don't even want to think about Houston now with the roster that we had coming into the season, even though they started off so promising. But the Astros, in my opinion, so far, as you said, TBD, has earned this world title. They beat the best teams that you had to offer in front of them. They beat the best of the best and showed everyone why they are the best. They have earned everything that was given to them. You know, as much salt as it leaves in my mouth, because as much as I want my Yankees to do it, clearly they wasn't ready, and that's exactly what Houston exposed before they exposed the Phillies not being ready. But it is what it is. The Astros won it. They might win it again next year, depending on what the Dodgers can do, depending on what the Yankees can do. And I think that right there is going to be the X factor. So along with the Mets, because you can't overrule them, even though they definitely had a horrible choke job in the wild card this year.
They straight should bet. Like,
but that's all I gotta say. Congrats to the Astros.
I blinked and the Mets were out of contention. Like, I thought I would at least get to see a game, but they just.
As a Yankees fan, I enjoyed that because now they can stop calling themselves the team in New York when they haven't won jack.
Let me also say, Shay, I love you. The Yankees are the Cowboys of the MLB.
Oh, don't you say that. Don't you say that, Stacey. No, you do not put my Yankees in a predicament with the Cowboys. Unlike them, we got more than 3 playoff victories in 33 years. Unlike them, our fans hold those butts accountable. They just ain't getting the message until we start boycotting ticket sales. Unlike them, our fans can at least go back to where they at least witness at least one of those championships they brag about. You got Cowboy fans who wasn't even getting their diapers changed talking smack about them 5 titles. There's a difference between a Cowboy fan and a Yankee fan. The Yankees are the Lakers of the MLB. The Cowboys are just going to be the freaking Cowboys. They can enjoy being third class. And I'm saying the Cowboys are third class because they're the only team out of the Steelers, Niners, Raiders to have not been to a Super Bowl in the past 20 years. We know the Raiders actually didn't go. They did. They went 2003. They're the ones who the Bucs beat. So yes, they are the only oddballs in the past 20 to 30 years to have not been to a Super Bowl. So no, my Yankees are not the Cowboys because we're not these. Now you got me sounding like Stephen A up here. Now you got me sounding like Stephen A up
How
here.
many nerves do you have left? I feel like we've been tapping on them.
I was just about to say that, Kayla. I know I got it. Stephen A. Just about to say it.
Now you got me out here sounding like Stephen A. with you. Kayla, you got me sounding like you had me sounding like Stephen A. with the Bengals. You had me sounding like Stephen A. now with the Cowboys. And I'll say Stephen A. with the Bengals because it's a legit argument to be made. You know what? I may not like they fans more than Stephen A. despised Cowboy fans, but we off them. I'm not getting started with them. Don't get me started on that. Oh, that's a whole nother 3 hours of this podcast, and we don't got time for that.
So let's get started on the Lakers, who you just brought up, who we are going to round out this episode with.
You want to find out?
We talked about their woes starting out the season. I believe the NBA was only 4 or 5 games in.
And they were 0-5. And now they're 2-8. I don't see no improvement. They're 2-8.
Oh.
What the hell is a 2-8? What's that gonna do? Get a high draft pick that your butts don't have?
Okay,
that the Pelicans have?
The Marseille like pearl grab, because you said that with your whole chest. Like, how do you really feel? Like, I just have that's another team. I'm just like, you know what? This is not going to be our
throw in the towel. Now that team, you throw in the towel.
After 8 games of an 80.
Okay, but Shay, what did you say about those AARP cards in the Lakers?
The AARP the LALAARP.
Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. After only 8 games, are they gonna make some moves to get somebody that can shoot the damn ball consistently?
Do you feel like they need to make, and are you going to say it needs to be Russell Westbrook?
It's time to shop that. Honestly, I'm gonna be real. And Laker fans can come at me all they want. You're not winning the NBA Finals this year. And I don't give a crap what roster you bring to the table. When you are the LA Lakers, you are set to a certain standard. When you put on that purple and gold, you are set to a certain standard. The standard's not going to be good enough to compete for the playoffs. The standard is to be good enough to win the playoffs and win when you are in the playoffs. The standard is to win championships in LA. And the Lakers do not have the team right now to do it. They're too old. They can't shoot. They're inconsistent with team play. They're injury prone. A big injury is bound to happen. You know, it's just a hot mess here in LA. A first-year head coach, even though he's starting to get good chemistry with them. But by the time that chemistry happens, it's going to be time to be shopping for everybody and their grandmother's successors, because that's how much the Los Angeles Lakers lack you. The standard is not good enough to make the playoffs in LA. The standard is good enough. The standard is to win championships in LA if you're the Lakers. If you want to be good enough for the playoffs, then don't put on that damn purple and gold and be in LA. If you want to be good enough just for the playoffs, then take your ass to the other side of LA and put on that piece of crap of blue and red and whatever damn other colors that the damn Clippers got.
LA, though? We just need to walk down the hall.
Like, realistically, put on them damn colors. Put on them damn colors, and you can be good enough to make the playoffs for that LA team. Not this LA team who culture was built off of winning, whose culture was built off of one shooting the damn ball. Magic, Jerry, Kobe, Derek Fisher, may I go on? What damn LA Laker team do you know that when we think about pick any era you want, this does not have a damn shooter or anyone, at least one person that could shoot the damn ball. How many?
Well, let me
God, this is horrendous.
Let me raise this question though.
What's the question?
And I'm only bringing him up because of this lovely GOAT conversation that happens quite often.
He does not belong in the category of Michael Jordan, if that's the question.
Well, no, I was going to compare him to him. Not on today. I don't have time for that. I would say I feel like the level that Kobe held, that's still weird to speak in the past tense about that. My bad. The standard that Kobe expected of his teams, whatever team that was, I feel like it's different. I mean, if I haven't watched the Redeem team yet, but I mean, just seeing snips and clips of everybody saying, they were going out partying, and when they were coming back, Kobe was heading to the gym, and that slowly became the thing. Everybody was doing these early morning workouts, but that's because of the standard Kobe set. And I know we spoke on it, I don't know whether it was last week or the week or 2 weeks ago or the week before, but we made the comment, or the comment was made, that LeBron is trying to play GM
He is.
Kobe did the same thing, but I mean, his team was better for it in many cases, and
So
I don't think we're seeing that. Like, is
Okay.
that a difference?
I feel Kobe played more head coach than GM, which is
Thank
the
you.
major difference. Like LeBron tries to play head coach and GM, which is a very interesting
And
concept.
owner.
And LeBron playing GM is quite frankly what got the Lakers in the situation that they're in right now. But I feel like Kobe definitely played more head coach, and it's something that played to his advantage. Michael Jordan played more head coach than anything else. I definitely feel like the league has went into a direction where that type of leadership would not go over as well as it did back then. And that may very well lead to the, I don't want to say demise or downfall, or the current state of the Lakers and a lot of our favorite teams, including the bad boy Pistons. Pistons are
I'll say the Lakers. I'll say downfall.
like of any of the active teams now, do you see any of the superstars that command the team with such intensity as the MJs and the Kobe's of their time have?
Okay. I'm gonna just touch Kayla's point here or question, to answer her question first. I feel like the standard did definitely change in LA when Kobe retired and left town. Not left town, but left the team behind to go be a loving care father to his, his beautiful wife Vanessa, his lovely kids, the late Gianna, Natalia, Bianca, and Capri. It's clear as day that it left. It's clear as day that you could definitely see a difference between the real hardcore Laker fans will definitely tell you that there's a difference between LeBron's leadership within winning and Kobe's leadership within winning. And to get to Stacey's point here, I feel as if, I'm gonna touch on both of your points because it pretty much ties into my point here. LeBron to me played more of general manager in all of this than head coach. And that way it leans on LeBron, but it also leans on, I'm blaming LeBron, the general manager. I'm not blaming LeBron James, the player. I can't blame someone, even at his worst, putting up 23 or more points, averaging 23 or more points a season at his worst, So I can't blame LeBron, the player, but I could blame LeBron, the GM. You wanted Anthony Davis. You wanted Russell Westbrook. You wanted Patrick Beverly. Last year, you wanted AD, Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard. I don't mind Dwight coming back. I don't think he should have left. Him and Alex Caruso should have definitely stayed.
Into a team overseas, so he ain't coming back.
I know, but I think like I don't think he should have left from the 2020 championship. I don't think you don't break up a freaking team that you won a world title with, whether it is in the bubble or not. You see what that team could do now that the West is more open, and go from there. And then you have a better idea. LeBron, though, the general manager, not LeBron James, the player, but LeBron James, the general manager, wanted the LeBron and Friends show. And that's what led to Carmelo Anthony, who was clearly out of his prime. That's what led to Dwight Howard coming back, even though I didn't mind that. That's what led to Russell Westbrook coming to LA. That's what led to Anthony Davis, who's injury prone, but so far stay healthy this year, but we only in 8 games. We got to see down the road, is it going to stay that way? That's what led to all of this chaos now with the youth, skill, and chemistry in LA. You got all these superstars, big egos, all gonna want the ball, all gonna want this, all gonna want that, all gonna want to do things every way except for the team's way. See, with Kobe's leadership, it was more of a team. It was more of, we gonna do this.
Kobe said, this is my team now.
Yes, but see, Kobe did it in a more teamful way. You're not going to slack around when you're with me or because you're playing with me. You're going to show your true potential, because if I was to leave, this team could possibly be passed on to you, or you. So you got to be prepared for that moment, because I'm not always guaranteed to be there. And he was right on that one.
My GOAT perspective real quick.
Go ahead.
So I feel like that is the only hang up I have with LeBron. That is my only hang up where I'm not ready to put him up there with Jordan and Kobe. I felt like both of them had that either you're gonna get better with me or you gotta go somewhere else. I feel like
exactly.
I feel like they were gonna hurt your feelings about it, and if you were gonna sit there and let it hurt your feelings and not motivate you,
You're
that's
out of there.
And I feel like LeBron is, like you said, trying to be everybody's friend and not realize, like, look, I'm gonna hurt your feelings. Here's a Band-Aid. Choose to use it or get over it. And I feel like that's part of the issue, and that's the difference.
I noticed that in LeBron when he was with the Cavs and they were in the finals game and J.R. Smith took that pass and went the opposite way down the court and could have won the game. You think that would have happened on Kobe's watch? No.
Nobody would have called a timeout to cuss him out. And then
I mean, the game was over at that point, but still, it wouldn't have even gotten that place. If it was up to Kobe, J.R. Smith probably wouldn't have been on the floor.
I agree. But I guess LeBron was trying to be a good teammate at that point because everyone was calling him a ball hawk, or ball hogger. But when you are the star player, you know, you got to take that shot. See, the differences between people like Steph Curry and people like LeBron, you don't got a Klay Thompson on your team. If the Lakers would have had a Klay Thompson on the team, we could be talking about the Lakers in another way. But the problem is you don't have a young enough team to keep up with the West. That's number one. Number two, you don't have any shooters. You, first of all, to be in the NBA and to be a competitive team, you have to at least have a shooter. The Lakers don't have one. Not one shooter. You can't shoot the damn ball. So the moral of the story is, and it breaks my heart to say this, it's time to start shopping for life after LeBron, because I'm not sure how long he has. I'm not sure how long he wants to stay in LA. I'm not sure because we touched on this, but he might be looking to play with his son one day. Who's to say Bronny is to be a LA Laker? He's most likely going to go where his son goes. So then you're in a dilemma right there already as it is. And by the time he gets here, this Laker team still won't have his act together. Anthony Davis, injury prone, not that good of a shooter. Russell Westbrook, not himself, not the rest. We've seen lights of it a little in games here and there. Don't get me wrong, that we saw in OKC. We need to see that Russell Westbrook consistently. And the issue with that is we don't. Then you have Patrick Beverley. Really haven't heard much about him this year. Then you turn right back around. Your bench is pretty weak. So you got to strengthen up this team. You need draft picks. The Lakers don't have another one until I believe 2025. You're going to need one prior to that if you are the LA Lakers and you want to get younger, you want to get better, and you want to get back into contention. So I believe that it's time to start shopping for life after LeBron, because the answer in LA right now is not in the building.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Hello?
Oh, we're still here. I'm still here. That's pretty much all I have to say.
I was like, my Wi-Fi is like, you know.
Oh, no, it's not you. I'm partially in my feelings about the Lakers not doing Laker things. So I really have nothing else to say. I'll pose this question. Do you think LeBron's body is gonna hold up long enough for him to play with Bronny? And I know, you know, probably not, because Bronny is a teenager now. And they did make it a rule where they no longer could come out of high school like he and Kobe did. So they have to go through college, which is going to be like another year or two, depending on how long he finishes high school. We're not sure, because we did see LeBron pretty gassed out, you know, the last couple of games there. So I'm not sure, but
I think barring catastrophic injury that he could last, the reason that he's gassed is because he has to be on the floor and he has to play a whole lot longer than he normally would if he's going to try to salvage any type of dignity left for this team, he has to be on the floor. You know, LeBron James pretty much brought load management to the forefront. Like, if it was one thing LeBron was going to do, he was going to rest. And that's one reason why he's been able to be as effective in the league up until this age now. I think if he continues to manage his time played, or he gets in a situation where he doesn't have to spend 45 minutes on the floor, that he would be able to sustain.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the Lakers don't even got that team right now. And I don't think they're going to have one, at least to the earliest is next year. And that's just me being optimistic. So before we move on, anyone else got any more says or any more statements they'll like to make on this? Because I pretty much wrapped it up. Or I pretty much wrapped up what I had to say.
Oh no, I'm done with the Lakers.
Kayla, are you on board?
My bad. I forgot I was on mute. My bad. But did you guys see the most recent update where players can now be 19 and be draft eligible?
No, we didn't see that update. That's actually pretty interesting.
Got you. Please hold.
They'd be 18 in 2024.
Okay, I just sent y'all that link that I was looking at.
Yeah, is it me or Zoom, or is this thing acting weird?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I thought so too. But all right, we're ready to move on because let's look at whoa. Do you want to talk about the Golden State Warriors though?
The Golden State Warriors are like 4-7 or something like that. They
Yes.
have chemistry issues right now. And I think it's 100% chemistry issues. And once they start to figure that out, I feel like they are going to get on track. It's still early in the season.
Yeah.
And unless you're the Lakers, you feel like you can get it together. But I am not too alarmed. Am I shocked? Yes. Am I too alarmed? No. They just got to figure out the situation. I know that they have quieted rumors about trading Draymond. Draymond is not going anywhere, at least not this season anyway. So they just have to be on the road to healing and recovery. And if they don't, then they are not going to make the playoffs. You have a really good team in Utah that has been on the brink of finals greatness for a few years now. Portland, who's number 2, tied with Denver, who they're both 8-3, and then you got Phoenix at number 4, and they're 7-3 right now. All very, very good contenders to finish out the season.
Don't forget the Grizzlies.
Oh, the Grizzlies, yeah. Oh, they're right up under there, number 5. They're number 5. And the Mavericks are rounding up that top 6. So all of them are very, very strong contenders. And Golden State just has to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Play nice. And that's all that is to that. But am I too worried about them? No.
Yeah, I'm not. It just shocked me because of their losing streak and the teams they were losing to. Wow, that losing streak. The Miami Heat, I could definitely accept that. We definitely could, see the Heat as the top 2 team in the Eastern Conference. Then you have the Orlando Magic.
Right now they're 4-7. So
the Heat, yeah.
The Heat.
Yes. I know this is the weird year, but then you got the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons, and the Charlotte Hornets. Now, those losses shocked me to be the caliber team, but what they say, any given day, any team could get beat. This losing streak pretty much to me defined that. But now, do I think it's panic mode in Golden State? No, they are not like the Lakers, who has crisis everywhere, who has an aging problem within their players and lack shooters. But I think with Curry, Clay, Draymond, that trio with Wiggins and Poole, they will definitely get it together. This is nothing to really panic about. I understand they are 4-7 basketball team. This is not the Warrior standard. Usually around this time, they will be within these past 8 games. They will, or 8, 9 games. I really don't know how much games they really played, the Warriors, but during this streak, they'll usually be about, let's see, if there's about 8 games, 8 to 10 games, they'll usually be like a 1 to 2 loss team. They're now, I believe, like a 5 loss team. It would definitely cause panic mode, but I don't think it's really much to worry about. We know the Warriors is going to turn this around. I'm definitely predicting them to win the Pacific Division with the Lakers and the Clippers. I don't see any of these teams that's capable of stopping the Warriors from having the best record in that division. I think the chemistry would definitely get back on board. I think, they just gotta get their rough patches out the way, because I believe November, December games are really going to be the games to determine who the playoff teams are going to be, who are the finals are going to be. And then around January and February is where you'll definitely see the teams that are meant to just be playoff teams and the teams that are meant to be NBA final contenders. And the Warriors would definitely be the ultimate team in the Western Conference by that time, to be that team that's meant to be back in the finals. I expect them to be back this year. So I'm not going to press the panic mode for the Warriors. They got too much of a good team. They got a hell of a bench. I'm really huge on. They got shooters everywhere. That's going to be very hard to contain. I think with another year or two, Jordan Poole is definitely going to be an extreme problem for opposing defenses with his shooting range, his great offensive skills. I think he needs to work a little more on the defense, but that's going to be growing pains with a young developing player. And that's in any sport, not just basketball. But they got a great young center in Wiggins, who I think is definitely going to be better, just getting a little out of the sophomore slump. So it's not really much to panic about. It's the fact that you lost to these teams, but it's not like you got your ass kicked. You just lost close games, even though you did bounce back a little by beating the Sacramento Kings. I believe the score was 116 to 113, which is a good thing, because if you would have lost to them, it would have been on a 4-game or 5-game losing streak. Then it would have been time to start getting a little worried. But the Warriors obviously are starting to see themselves starting to be like, okay, it's time to turn this around. It's time to stop playing around. It's time to get back to the team that won the NBA Finals, and that was not the team that was on the 4-game losing streak. So I expect the Warriors to be fine. I don't see any panic mode. I expect to see the team, like I said already, that won the NBA Finals and set for, and no longer I'm going to expect to see the team that was on the 4-game losing streak. So just to wrap up this point.
Show up on Christmas, though.
Yes. So just to wrap up this point is, before I give it to you and Stacey here, is the team that you should expect from here on out from the Golden State Warriors is the team that won the NBA Finals, not the team that was on the 4-game losing streak. Don't expect that. That team, I believe, from here on out will be dead and gone. You're not getting that team no more. So, yeah, it's not time yet for panic mode in Golden State. I think it's far from that, too far from that, to be more exact. They're too skilled.
Yes, I don't think anybody really is concerned about them. Again, Christmas is coming up, and then we didn't even mention the play-in tournament that's happening mid-season. So there are a lot of different opportunities for things to be shaken up and for the Warriors to get back on track. So as long as they learn how to play nice with each other, they'll be good to go.
Any thoughts, Kayla, before we move on to the WNBA?
I mean, how do you guys feel about the play-in situation? I mean, I know the G League is doing something similarly where, we've got showcase to determine who all is going to the few days in Vegas, and then, rolling into our regular season. How do y'all feel like that will go at the NBA level?
I feel like it's pretty much fair, because whoever can't win through that just don't deserve to make the playoffs, and it's just not meant to be. because that's, to me, is just a second opportunity for you to prove yourselves. And it's pretty much the playing tournament to me in the NBA. It's like to make the playoffs, right? It's just like how extra credit would be if you were still as if you were in school and you need to pass a course that you want to board a felon. That's pretty much how I look at that. I look at it as a second opportunity for people to succeed when they have failed in moments they were supposed to succeed. So I actually find that a pretty good idea. I think they should keep it because it gives us a second opinion on who deserves to be there and who just needs to take their asses home. And that's just that with the situation. So the fact that the G League is doing just that, I'm actually pretty excited. That's actually going to make the G League, in my opinion, a lot more watchable to me and give people better opportunities to pay more attention to that. Because I think that's another league, especially with being under the NBA, that needs to be brought more to attention. But the NBA having the play-in tournament, I could definitely agree with that because, like I said, it's just like as if you were a student in school and you on the board of fell in a class and the teacher is giving you extra credit that they know that will bump your grade up so you will pass. That's what it's like. The play-in tournament to me is like for those teams who did not do what they were supposed to do throughout the season, given a second chance to prove themselves, to show them why anybody should extend their season. And if you don't succeed in that, then you need to be home because there's a lot more flaws within your team that was, one, already brought to the light, and two, you already knew that was in that locker room.
I think the play-in tournament it's something that's going to be fun. It's going to shake up everything a little bit. I know that they have been in talks about extending the actual number of games in the season, going back and forth about that. And I am excited to see how the play-in tournament is going to impact the end of the season overall.
Kayla, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I have nothing else. I am, to be completely honest with you all, I am basketballed out and not looking forward to another back-to-back weekend.
Great. All right. So speaking of basketball, before we definitely move on from the sport, to give you the recap, which will be our last segment of this podcast, the recap of NFL Week 10. But before, we got to give a shout out to our girl, Becky Hammond. She's just continuing to make, just to make history, to steal headlines in a good way for not only women, women in sports, but for women in general, for the sports industry, period. Can we all just agree, right, that 2022 has legitimately and definitely been the year of Becky Hammond? We can all agree on that, right?
She better go, girl. She has. She's lit up.
Kayla, you're on board with that, right?
Hashtag women in sports.
Okay, so we all agree that 2022 has been the year of Becky Hammond.
I will repeat what I said on the last episode that we talked about Becky.
Yes, go ahead, Kayla.
To put all of the respect on that woman's name.
All right, bet. Yes, so this woman, I'm still shocked that the NBA, dead serious, did not even consider this woman for a job. It's the fact that she just went back to her roots in the WNBA, just pretty much plunder her way through, ransacked the WNBA, and she did it with the toughest competition, even though she did have a legitimate team in the Las Vegas Aces, where she won the NBA Finals with the team within her first year as a head coach. She was picked up by the Las Vegas Aces. No, she was hired by the Las Vegas Aces back in March when she was pretty much denied opportunity for a head coaching job in the NBA And now got the NBA practically looking stupid because a lot of teams who can use her coaching skills now are probably the teams that are so bad, not including the Lakers, of course. But 2022, she won the WNBA Commissioner Cup, WNBA Coach of the Year. She's a WNBA Finals champion as a coach. And now the breaking news is she is now being hired by ESPN as an NBA analyst, where she will appear on popular ESPN shows as Get Up, First Take, SportsCenter, NBA Countdown, as an analyst when the news first broke out to ESPNW, which is the ESPN sports page for women's sports, where ESPN covers women's sports right there. What are your thoughts on that when the news first broke out November 2nd that she will be joining and her debut is set for December 2nd, 2022?
I feel like her voice and her experience would be a great addition to the analyst role, especially at ESPN. But I feel like I want more for her. Like, you were absolutely correct before. Like, she deserves some type of coaching role in the NBA if that is what she desires. Like, in some way, shape, form, or capacity, I feel like she could add value to anything. I mean, send it to the Houston Rockets. They like 0-45 right now. Like, I'm pretty sure even not even saying that, send her to the worst team.
Face, did you say 0-45?
Yep.
Yes, she did.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was listening
They're
correctly.
actually like 2-7 or something like that. But in any event, like, she definitely can add more value than just being an analyst. And that is how I feel about it. But girl, get your bag. I'm not even mad at it. But Miss Hammond has more to offer the sport and to the world than that.
Yeah. Kayla, would you like to continue on with that?
I've got nothing other than put some respect on her name and run her check.
Well, before we wrap up that segment, I think I speak for us all. Becky, congratulations on an awesome year for you when you won the Commissioner Cup for the WNBA, Coach of the Year for the WNBA. You're now a WNBA Finals champion. Good luck to the Las Vegas Aces on defending that title this upcoming season. Congrats to Asia Wilson for winning Defensive Player of the Year, Chelsea Gray for winning MVP of that finals. And we are looking forward to hearing you break down games and the NBA as an analyst come December. So I will definitely be tuning in more to that, as I would love to hear your sports takes on arguably the best female coach behind Pat from Tennessee and women's basketball, as we hear you pretty much show the fellas how it's done a little more. So congrats, Becky. Good luck with everything. Hope you continue to reach career milestones. Now, moving on, ladies, to our final topic. I believe this will be of the podcast, which will be a preview of NFL Week 10. Thursday night football, Stacey, your Falcons are traveling to North Carolina, downtown Charlotte. I forgot the stadium. I believe Bank of America Stadium. There you go. Bank of America Stadium to take on the Carolina Panthers. 2-7 Carolina Panthers, your 4-5 Atlanta Falcons. Stace, we're going to definitely start you off with this segment, as is this your team battling for possibly a first place spot in the NFC South Division. What are your thoughts on this game? What do you expect to see from your Falcons, and what do you expect to see from their opponents, the Carolina Panthers?
Well, first and foremost, I believe the Falcons are already first in the NFC South. I just want to put that out there. Let me fact check, first before I say that. But I believe if Amazon Prime could do it over again and they picks back, they would not put this game on their Thursday night game. They would probably play the dog show or Ninja Warrior. before they put this game on regular TV. There are going to be 32 people that watch this game. That
Really?
being said, I love my Falcons. Yes, it's the Bird Bowl. Sure, like I love my Falcons. I'm upset with them. That was a very winnable game against the Chargers this past Sunday. Our defense gets the best of us every time, every single time, every game over the past 10 years. No one can figure it out. No one knows. Maybe the crust will be lifted. But yeah, this should be an easy win for the Falcons. I pay the most attention to the game in the last 5 minutes because tides turn so quickly. You never know. So I definitely be locked in then, but this should be easy work for the Falcons. I mean, the Panthers sat all of their dang quarterbacks. They started quarterbacks. They just fired their head coach not too long ago. Like, they're definitely in the middle of a rebuild. The Falcons have no business losing to them. And that's all I say about it.
Yeah, I think I picked last Thursday, but I am going to pick this Thursday. I do not like what I'm seeing out of Carolina as of lately. They do got health issues within on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So I definitely expect Atlanta to take advantage of that. I expect a big game from Kyle Pitts. I also expect, a passing plays here and there, but I'm definitely expecting them to run the football a lot more as Carolina's defense last week against the Bengals pretty much got splundered by Joe Mixon single-handedly, where he had, I believe, if not, I'm surprised it wouldn't be an NFL record of 5 touchdowns for an individual player receiving and rushing. But
shout out to anyone that had Joe Mixon on fantasy because look, I'm just glad I didn't have to play off.
It's bad enough I had to admit that. You're going to talk about some fantasy. But okay, anyways, they did get pretty much annihilated, I'll say, by the Cincinnati Bengals. It's really no other words to put besides humiliated, beat up, dominated, body slammed, et cetera, et cetera. Either way, they got embarrassed. And the moral of the story is it's only looking more downhill for the Carolina Panthers, while the Atlanta Falcons, outside of their game versus the Bengals, where they also got embarrassed, no offense, Stacey, it's looking uphill because the other losses has been close. And they could definitely be a 500 team by the end of this game. I see this as a great opportunity for them to prove themselves, that they could be better than a below 500 team in a sorry NFC South division. But
hey, you have to do
but no, I'm expecting a big win for the Atlanta Falcons. I expect, them to run the ball a lot more, as I expect them to take advantage of the flaws that was shown from last Sunday game against Cincinnati. I get it's Joe Mixon and them guys, but I expect the same thing to happen with the Falcons. I don't think the Panthers will have enough time to adjust to stopping the run. I don't think they have enough pieces just yet in Carolina. So yes, I am definitely picking the Falcons, but I am going to do a little score prediction. I got 27-14 Atlanta.
27-14.
Because I see Carolina trying to keep a fight, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to keep up with the Falcons. So you know what? I might have to take the score prediction away. I'm just going to say the Falcons win to cover the spread. But either way, I'm expecting an Atlanta victory. I don't think Carolina has enough pieces to overcome their flaws and come out with the win.
Yes, I agree. Again, the Falcons have no business losing to the Panthers. But they'll shout out to the Falcons anyway, because we've already won the 4 games they predicted we would win all season anyway. So I take this series, this season as a win, a personal win for me, for the Bird Gang, for Falcons Country, Rise Up Nation. Like, we did it, Joe. We did it.
Kayla, your thoughts on Thursday night football game?
I have nothing other to say than who negotiated the Amazon Prime deal? Because I feel like
Oh,
these games have been rough to watch on Thursday. Like I just
Yeah, and I
they
mean,
just put the schedule up and throw a dart and be like, okay, we will take this game, this game, and this game. And I will gladly include the Colts game in that because that was rough to watch. I mean, you got Naheem Hines getting up, wobbling, talking about at halftime he can come back in and play. Sir, you don't go sit down somewhere and just accept that you're in concussion protocol.
I mean, your team won that game.
True, but it was a game of field goals.
I mean,
but
Kayla, a win is a win.
look, that's like I said, I have no more confidence in the Colts. But as far as the Falcons and the Panthers, I know I am here in Carolina, but I have no confidence in the home team. Stace, I'm gonna give this to your team.
You ain't worth the damn, Kayla. You just ain't worth the damn.
Hey, I was in Dallas and didn't cheer for Dallas. I refuse to wear
no,
blue on
You
game
just
day.
ain't worth a damn.
Hey, look. Blame Jerry. I feel like that's a suitable person to blame. Blame Jerry.
hashtag blame Jerry. Listen, what is Cowboys Nation gonna do when Jerry Jones yet transitions on to the upper room
Good question.
for another day?
All right. So we moving on. We gave you thoughts on Thursday night football game. To all of you that is not aware of that game, it starts at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, Thursday night on Amazon Prime. If you have the NFL app, you could definitely watch it on your phone through there, but you might have to subscribe to the NFL Plus app. But the good news about the app, it does give you replays of the entire game without commercials on the NFL app as well. So definitely watch into that game as the Atlanta Falcons, the 4-5 Atlanta Falcons will travel to Bank of America Stadium in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina to take on the 2-7 Carolina Panthers and maintain, according to our girl Stacy, their maintain first place lead in the NFC South division and improve to a 500 record, which will be 5-5 for them, and go from there. So once again, Thursday night football on Amazon Prime, 8:15, Atlanta Falcons will travel to Bank of America Stadium to take on the Carolina Panthers. Now, ladies, moving on to a trending topic, which would be OBJ, because I think we can all agree that a lot of teams can use him and his talents right now, but it's only a handful of teams as of right now, based on the records and where they're at right now, that if he was to be signed there, they will make a legit run back to the Super Bowl or to the Super Bowl. And there have been a lot of rumors, sparkling around. So in your opinion, where do you think, if you were Odell, where should the star wide receiver land? Should he land in LA, back in LA on the LA Rams? Can he possibly be in Tampa Bay with Tom Brady, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin on the Bucs? Or the most trending topic so far is, could he be with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, and them guys in Dallas? Or could he be reuniting with the team that originally drafted him, the New York Giants? Or will he join Josh Allen, Gabe Williams, Stephon Diggs, McKenzie and them boys in Buffalo? If you're Odell, out of all these teams or other teams, where do you think Odell will land, or where you think he should land?
I'll tell you, Jerry is gonna pay the money to get OBJ because that's what Jerry does. I'll tell you right now where he will make the biggest impact and where they will pretty much give him free reign to be OBJ, Green Bay. They need a savior. OBJ likes to be the savior. Green Bay is typically an OBJ market. He typically likes your flashier, bigger markets, i.e. your New Yorks and your LAs. But I think that he, especially at this point in the season, will be a difference maker in Green Bay. Hands down with no effort.
Yeah, with Randall Cobb, Lazard, and guys, Aaron Rodgers obviously needing a star wide receiver, losing, Devontae Adams in the offseason to the Las Vegas Raiders, where he signed a big, huge contract. I believe was worth $245 million for 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little less than that, to reunite with his young long-term friend, college roommate, Derek Carr. Now they're kind of struggling there in Las Vegas. Kayla, where do you think that he should land?
I mean, I could see him going to Green Bay. I mean, Aaron needs the weapons, but I feel like the question that we asked about Deshaun Watson, like, it's been a minute since he's had in-game contact and play, so how useful will he actually be? And especially this late in the season, that's a whole new system you've got to learn. That's a whole new system that has to learn how you play. So it's not going to be a quick, all right, I got this. It's going to take a minute. So wherever he ends up, there's going to be growing pains. So I don't know if it's going to be a quick start and productive start for him wherever he ends up.
All right.
And
Well,
I think Buffalo is just such a good rhythm now offensively. Adding OBJ would not do anything for them for real, or it might actually throw off the chemistry. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have an extra threat on your bench, but I feel like going to Buffalo would be attractive for him, given the current level of play that Buffalo is playing at. But again, I'd still contend that, if he really wants to shine, Green Bay is where he should go. Because Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a receiver.
I mean, Green Bay could be a great option, but I think Odell wants to go somewhere where he has a legit shot at the Super Bowl. Because I think that's what all I feel he's playing the game for, and rightfully so, because when you are the caliber player that he is, you don't have nothing else to prove and nothing else to show. Everyone knows you're legit. Everyone knows you're one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game. Everyone knows that you're one of the best talents then, now, and forever. We all figured that out after that spectacular one-handed catch against the Dallas Cowboys in MetLife Stadium about 6-7 years ago, maybe a little more than that, 9 years ago is what we ranging. He was drafted 2014, we're in 2022. So yeah, it was exactly 8 years ago, or 7 and some change. More of the story is, it's long enough. It's not that long that we forgot about it, and I don't think we're ever going to forget about it, because it's arguably the greatest catch ever in history. But the moral of the story is, I think Odell Beckham Jr. should go to the Buffalo Bills. Now, Stacey, you understand that, you did state that it will throw off their chemistry a little. I don't think so. I might have to disagree on you with that take. And I have to disagree on you with that because I think Odell joining would definitely create more opportunities for Gabe Williams. I think it would create more opportunities for McKenzie, and it would definitely create more opportunities, even though it's clear as day he doesn't need them, because he is him and Stephon Diggs. And I think him and Stephon Diggs together in Buffalo would create a real cold-blooded problem for the entire AFC and the entire NFL, because it would definitely make it hard for any defense to guard any one of these receivers. The Buffalo Bills offense is already problematic for opposing defenses as it is. And adding Odell, who is a problem on his own in a good way for your team, while being an issue for the opposing team, which is what you want your players to be, especially in that caliber for him, can definitely boost the Buffalo Bills' Super Bowl chances a lot more, even though they are clearly a team that doesn't need it. I picked them to begin with to make it to the Super Bowl and to come out the AFC, and adding Odell would definitely solidify that, because it's just nearly, if not indefinitely, impossible. I don't see a defense that'll be able to contain all of that, plus Gabe Williams and McKenzie, who is clearly coming into their own, and this is only the beginning for that young core in Buffalo. It would definitely increase Josh Allen's MVP chances in this season to win, because it will give him more weapons that he would definitely utilize, because he loves to throw the football down the field. I said it, he's a young mobile Big Ben, which will be a problem for anybody in the NFL individually on his own, let alone with weapons like Odell. So I think the best fit for him right now, with the way the Rams are, even though I know that he wants to stay in LA, he wants to stay in the hot weather, he loves LA. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want to play in that beautiful stadium of SoFi Stadium? But to get another legit shot, and you know you're going to get the ball because of being in a pass-happy offense with legitimate backup, even though I could definitely see him returning to LA as he wants to go back, the team wants him back, Sean McVay wants him back, and he wants to stay, I could definitely see him going to Buffalo because of his relationship with Stephon Diggs, his relationship with Von Miller, the fact that they already been in talks apparently, and where the stage where the Buffalo Bills is at. They're only one more star player away from being the team to beat in AFC, even though they are that right now. But the addition of Odell, along just like their Super Bowl run, would solidify that legitimately.
Yeah, and again, he loves markets like LA and everything. It definitely fits his brand, it fits his aesthetic, and LA definitely has been, like, we see now that they need him. Like, LA has been struggling, and with the season being the loss that it is for LA, yes, I'm saying it again, I'm calling it a loss. It gives him more time to rehabilitate and come back full strength, instead of just trying to hurry up, rush through his recovery, and get in where he fits in. And going back to your Buffalo point, you're like, defenses barely can contain them now. They're already unstoppable. I understand what you're saying about his presence on the Bills, being able to open up more opportunities. And I mean, if you can go for the kill shot, why not? Add OBJ, make everything else, difficult for everybody else. But yeah, I feel like wherever he goes, he is definitely gonna make his presence felt.
But I mean, I'll ask this question, and Colts fans, I hate to take off this Band-Aid, but do you feel like he might pull in Andrew and just kind of ride into the sunset? I mean, since Andrew's retirement got leaked, that man has enjoyed having a family, pulled around and had a second kid with his wife, and is just straight chilling. You feel like Odell might just enjoy recovering and take that time to enjoy his family?
I would say no, because it's clear as day he has already expressed interest in wanting to come back. So I think that, unlike Andrew Luck, he already came out and said, I want to return. He decided to get committed to a team or made a decision on where he wants to play. He's torn right now. He's torn between his buddy Jalen Ramsey and here in LA, with the chemistry he already developed with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and these guys, along with the addition of Allen Robinson, and then correct me. And then you turn right back around. He also has a long-term friend in Von Miller, who's now Buffalo Bill. And you turn right back around. He also has great chemistry on a personal and on field level with Stephon Diggs. And when you have that chemistry with players who that will open that door for you, who that will voice for you, who that will take money out their pockets or out their wages just to bring you there, knowing that what you bring to the table, what you can definitely do for this team, or what you will do for this team, especially if you stay healthy. And that is what I'm definitely praying, because Odell has been one of my favorite players to watch. And I'm really starting to enjoy him as a person, even though I don't know him personally. But from a distance, I'm starting to like what I hear and see from him as a person, as I felt like in the past, he just got in a little too much backlash, and it was pretty inaccurate. but that's a whole nother topic for another day. Yeah, I don't see him retiring. I don't think he's ready for that. Yes, he's enjoying his family. Don't get me wrong, as any father or any man should. His own creation. He definitely has earned that right as a person and as a father in his own right to do so. But I think he is ready, and he already came out and said that he is ready to make the return to what was his first love, which is football, and just help out whoever his team is wherever he lands. So I think that this may be the beginning to the end of Odell, but the road or the end of the road for Odell is not here just yet. I think we should take a pause on that.
Correct. Hello?
Yeah, we here. Well, I'm here. I'm not sure about Stacy.
That was me that said that.
Oh.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Like,
Nodding, but I'm still here.
accurate. I agree.
All right. Anybody got anything else to say about that before we move on to the other matchups in week 10?
Nah, I'm good on Odell.
All right. Well, wherever Odell signs, good luck to him. Good luck to the team that has him. Hopefully, if he signs with any of these other teams other than Buffalo and Dallas and New York, he could definitely help turn their season around, make a good run, which I feel he's more than capable of doing, and he will do. Or if he joins them, then if he joins Buffalo, well, you might as well pack it up regardless, but you're going to have to definitely pack it up then. Good luck to him. Good luck. Take care of his beautiful family. Hopefully they're happy and they're healthy. And well, people like I just can't wait for him to come back because the game misses him, and so do I. Moving forward, though, to NFL Week 10, we have some matchups that are interesting. Which matchups are you looking forward to watching this week?
Week 10. My matchup.
And why?
I am actually, of all of the matchups, given the loop that the season has been thrown so far, I'm actually really interested in seeing the Bills versus the Vikings, primarily because at the beginning of the podcast, we were debating whether or not the Vikings team is really legit or if they're a fluke. What better way to tell that than, to go up against the best of the best right now. So it should be a high energy game, should be a decent scoring game, and I am going to be locked in.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that game. I'm ashamed that I was not aware really that the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings were playing each other this week. That's going to be a legit matchup. That's actually going to be a test for both of them. I think this might be the game where Buffalo meets their match, or the Vikings just might be shown, there's some kinks that you might have to fix, but am I wrong? Based off what I saw between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, right? Versus what I saw between Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. Now, I already clarified Justin Jefferson right now is in the club of his own. He's definitely a top 5 wide receiver, but you can definitely say the same thing about Stephon Diggs. Some people, or most people right now, will proclaim him as the best wide receiver in the league right now. And it's very hard to argue with all the people that he matched up with, the matchups that he won and who he won them and who he won against. All of this being said, can we expect a shootout between that game? Because these are 2 high-scoring offenses right here we're talking about. 2 high-power offenses with questionable run games, but legitimate pass games who are playing their best football right now. And with wide receivers, 2 number 1 wide receivers that are practically unguardable. Can we expect a practical shootout between the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills? I vote for a yes, but I need y'all opinion.
I took a deep inhale because I would want to say yes, but I honestly think it really depends I think Dalvin Cook is going to be a big difference in this game. If he is consistent in his game and he shows up and he Dalvin's like we know he can Dalvin, then absolutely.
That's fair. Dalvin Cook can definitely be the X factor here. Buffalo's, but I mean they did get Naheem, so that could definitely improve their run game. I think that will definitely boost the Bills' run game, so we can definitely see what both run games bring to the table because it is November. So whether it's in Minnesota, or whether it is in Buffalo, you're playing in that cold either way. It is very low weather cold, to be more exact. I'm surprised that they didn't predict snow yet in either one of those two states or cities. But yeah, I'm voting for a shootout.
The fact that it was damn near 80 degrees in Atlanta this past week, and you're talking about snow, is just like crazy to me.
Well, look at the temperature in Atlanta and compare it to Buffalo and freaking Minnesota. It make New Jersey look like Florida.
Hey, look, I moved out the Midwest for a reason. Nobody's trying to think about snow in the middle or before Thanksgiving.
Hey.
Like I keep forgetting that it's legitimately like almost the new year. It's like we still in short sleeves and shorts.
Well, Kayla, can we get your thoughts? Which week 10 matchups are you looking forward to?
I mentioned it last time. I'm just trying to see. Well, one, I'll start with Jalen Hurts' comments of, him saying like he's been on a no-loss team before and lost championships, so they still have a lot to prove and work on. Which, I mean, that's all well and good to say, but will the rest of his team crack under pressure or, hold out and use it as motivation to hold out and continue to be a no-loss team? I think that's the one I'm looking most forward to.
Who does the Eagles play this week?
They play, hold on, I'm scrolling. They play the Commanders at 8:15 on Monday night.
Oh, that's a win.
Yeah.
That's easy done.
And I mean, of course, that even though I've given my Colts a L for the remainder of the season, I'm also kind of interested. I am interested to see how the changes of Monday and Tuesday will affect them on Sunday. Granted, I know change doesn't happen overnight, but I'm interested to see what happens with that as well.
Yeah, definitely. With all of that being said, I mean, it's going to be a real interesting matchup between your Colts and the Raiders because Mr. Jeff Saturday, before he took that interim head coach job, had some little pretty funny comments on Twitter about them Colts, about his precious Colts now opponent, the Las Vegas Raiders, as he said, the Las Vegas Raiders look horrible. So we're going to definitely see how horrible they look now against them Colts under his watch. I don't know what games I want to watch. I don't really have no thoughts on this. I will definitely be paying attention, I believe, to the Browns and the Dolphins game. I will be paying attention to the Ravens game as well because they are in my division. Of course, I'm going to watch my Steelers and the Saints. That's my team, seeing where that goes. But I'm going to be paying attention to Miami and Cleveland because I want to see how the Dolphins defense do against a heavy run offense, which the Browns has clearly established themselves to be. I want to see how Jacoby Brissett will perform with Amari Cooper and Donovan People-Jones and all these guys back. Cleveland's definitely coming off a bye, so I expect them to be healthy. I want to know if the Dolphins is truly this true contending team or are they just pretenders. I want to see, is Bradley Chubb going to make that splash now with this huge monstrous 5-year deal that he got from the team after being traded from the Broncos to them. And I want to see how Tua plays against, a heavy pass rush being led by Myles Garrett and them guys in Cleveland. So that'll be a legit matchup. I think it's going to be a better game than many people think. The good news for Dolphin fans is that game is in Miami and not in Cleveland, which is a good thing. They definitely gets them home field advantage with the weather and all of this. And obviously you're in Cleveland, you're in the cold all year. So, it'll definitely be adjustment time. And then you got the Ravens because actually I forgot that quick who the Ravens play. So I'm definitely going to be watching out for them just to see more what Lamar Jackson is going to do, see more what the defense is about, as my Steelers will be playing them down the road within the next month. So that would definitely be a matchup. I want to see what my Steelers is going to do off this bye week against these Saints and see, can we get a quick turnaround, or is it time to throw in the towel for the season? And yeah, that's pretty much the matchups. I think we all signed it up, but I'm also going to mainly tag with the Vikings and the Bills, Stacy here with the Vikings and the Bills, because these are two high power offenses with both legit receivers, legit quarterbacks. Obviously, Josh Allen's on a whole nother level. My favorite to win MVP and to win Super Bowl MVP in the process. If it doesn't go to Stephon Diggs, that's how legit to me the Buffalo Bills are. And yeah, that's pretty much all the matchups I'm looking forward to. So, ladies, final question to our last question. What to expect as the midseason mark is now here? What do you expect, to happen now?
What do I expect? I expect the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. Well, excuse me, I already know that the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. I predict that the Eagles will also go to the Super Bowl. My dark horse will be who's gonna be my dark horse? I say the Vikings are actually going to be my dark horse. I don't think the Cowboys are going to make it past the first round. I think they're going to finish out the season very strong, but they won't make it in the first round again. I think the Giants have made a good push so far this season.
It's the heavy stuff. Cool.
Really, Kayla?
Yeah, I've got people over and I had to close my door because people keep coming where I'm at. My bad.
Not a jump scare. I was like, what?
Right.
My bad.
That's the spirit saying that, that's that. So there's that. And I think the Chiefs will be close in no cigar, and that's it.
Yeah, I could kind of agree on that. I expect the top seeds currently to remain the top seeds. I don't think that's changing, but I could expect the 7th seed in the AFC to change. I could definitely expect things to shake up in the wild card seedings as November, December games are now here, and this is when we find out who's for real and who's fraudulent and who was just placeholder, and keep the seats warm for those who are meant to be there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The NFL season's pretty much almost over with. We're definitely going to find out a lot about a lot of teams. We're going to find out who cares for this year and who pretty much didn't, or who didn't have enough or had what it takes at all to make a run or make a push to get close to a run. And we're just it's just pretty much a wait and see process everywhere else outside of the top 2 seeds in both conferences. I think we already have a pretty good idea of who that team is. So that's definitely going to be that.
I don't know where I'd sit for the rest of the season. I mean, like I said, the way the Colts week started out, I don't even have any more predictions because I was not mentally prepared for that at all. So I have, unfortunately, no good takes on the rest of the season.
I mean, it is what it is. I kind of struggle to pick up what to expect. So, ladies, this will be the last question and the last segment of this episode, as it would be a record-setting long episode, I believe probably like 3 hours. But yes, what teams can shock you and sneak into the playoffs? Who doesn't look like they'll make it, but can shock everyone and do?
For me, the Titans.
Wait, you think the Titans don't have a legit shot? They're number one in their division right now.
To make I don't know. I'm looking at the rest of their season. Like you said, we're only halfway through the season. I think
Mhm.
really going to tell. As I mentioned earlier, they've played a lot of teams so far that you are expected to beat. They haven't had any real challenge up until this point, and they're going to be challenged a little bit in the second part of the season. I feel like they're going to hit a skid, but they're going to just make it in. That's my hot take.
All right, so they just gonna make it in as the divisional winners, or just as a 6 or 7 seed, 5th, 6th, or 7th seed.
The divisional winners.
Okay.
I give them our division too. I don't want to, but I mean, I think I've shouted him out before, but Danico Autry on that defensive line, that's the homie. I feel like him and the defensive line are doing very well for them. I feel like that's going to be a solid point for them as they continue through the year if they can keep it up.
Who you're picking, Kayla?
Titans.
Okay.
I mean, so they have no choice. Sorry, Kayla. Colts,
good.
Jaguars, Texans, all in their division. Like they are pretty much appointed.
It's okay. We're trash.
They're the person that do like. So that's why another point to me, like, them versus them going up against, the Ravens, who are first in their division, and then, the Chiefs, who are the first in their division. Bills, we already talked about them. Jets, very good this season. Dolphins had adversity. They still yet holding on. And also the Patriots, who are just sneaky good still. I think they have a lot of opposition that they're going up against. So Titans still for me.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just wrap off this segment right now, and I'm gonna go for a wild one. And a lot of people gonna call me biased and delusional, but would I be wrong if I say my Pittsburgh Steelers? Would I be wrong?
Yep.
I would be wrong, Stacey?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, because of our record, right? And the opponents we got left to play. Boom.
Yeah. All the things.
At least one of us feels confident in our team.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you why I should feel more confident in my teams, Kayla. Even though we have our flaws, no question. Regardless of how the season plays out, Matt Canada is out of here regardless. We've had coordinators get fired a year after the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl to be more exact. We had coordinators get fired after 13-3 seasons while having a top 5 offense in the NFL. We had coordinators get fired after a 12-4 season, even though starting the year off 11-0. The moral of the story is no job is safe regardless of where the Steelers land. And a lot of Steeler fans want the Steelers to tank. I don't think that's going to happen. And it's not going to happen because, one, you get busted, they know, they're going to know. They're going to find out, and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, the NFL is going to be on your ass because they already opened up cases against the Dolphins about tanking. The last thing that the Steelers need, in my opinion, is another headline for anything but winning football games. We've had enough of that in Pittsburgh. We need to get back to stealing headlines for doing what we're known for doing, which what we have not been doing these past 8 weeks, which is winning football games. It starts this Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. All of this being said, I'm looking at the Steelers schedule right now. See, when they're 2-6, they're undeveloped offense playing against some real legit tough teams. The Bills, the Jets, the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Eagles. None of these teams I mentioned are below 500 teams. All these teams at least got a seed right now in that wild card, but all these teams outside of the Eagles still got to play one another. Those losses can affect, especially if the Steelers can keep a good record in the AFC North Division, and they'll have a great opportunity for that against the Cincinnati Bengals after this week coming up next week. All this being said, let me give you the opponents. The Saints this Sunday, the Bengals next Sunday, the Colts that following Monday, the Falcons, the Ravens at home, the Panthers on the road, the Raiders, the Ravens, and the Browns at home. So all these teams, nearly all these teams are beatable. Everyone thinks that the Ravens is about to run over the Steelers. I'm not expecting a blowout either result, either way. I'm expecting them, though, to at least split the series with the Ravens, because that's an AFC North rival. No Big Ben, you're not sweeping them, but I think that Pittsburgh's pride is not going to allow the Ravens to sweep them either. And Lamar Jackson does not have his best game against the Steelers defense, who on paper has only gotten better since the last 2 times he saw them. And unlike the previous 2 years, the Steelers defense has shown in big games they can stop the run. This can be a good opportunity for the Steelers to turn this around, because they're no longer having one of the toughest schedules of football, but they have one of the easier schedules of football. And majority of these games are home games where the Steelers is clearly shown with the production, they perform better at home than they do on the road. This team can easily win out of these rest of these 9 games. They can easily win at least a good 7, sneak in as a 9-8 football team, or a good 8, maybe 9, and go from a 2-6 team to an 11-6 team or 10-7 team. And somehow, some way, Mike Tomlin does the magic again and keeps his winning streak or non-losing record season streak going. That can be a strong possibility. So even though it does not look too good in Pittsburgh right now, because of all the things I said, all the things you co-signed, Stacey, Kayla, you definitely agree with both of us, as you feel the same way about your Colts, even though you may say it's more chaotic. I'm not going to argue with that. It could definitely be debatable with all the controversy that offensive coordinator or offensive garbage-nator, to be more PG, Matt Canada has caused within this offense and within this team. But you can expect some changes that could be made, some alterations that can increase, or let's just say remove a couple of these problems, and they could make a good run in the playoffs. Now, am I expecting a Super Bowl run or AFC Championship game? Hell no. But can I expect them to work their magic and sneak in? It's really hard to bet against the coach who would have never missed the playoffs if the seeding now was the seeding back then, when they were only a team a game or 2 shy of being out of playoffs contention.
I mean, I feel like you have such belief and fervor in your team.
I believe in Mike Tomlin. I believe in Mike Tomlin and our defense, which can neutralize a lot of these. And here's the factor. Pittsburgh is getting healthy. TJ Watt's coming back. Pittsburgh's now getting their 3rd safety back. Terrell Austin's defense loves to create high 3 safety looks. With all his players being there, I don't think we're going to need Ahkello Witherspoon. I think he has cost us enough yardage, enough games, and he was the weak link in that secondary. He's the one who gave up the big chunk plays. I think we'll be better off without him, which is why we did get William Jackson. But Najee Harris could rebound. Jalen Warren could definitely start getting some snaps. And maybe, just maybe, they needed this bye week to create better chemistry and to open up more opportunities. But once again, it all starts with Matt Canada getting the hell out his stubborn ways to at least make it to the end of the season and leave the Steelers team on the positive note, because regardless of how this year play out, he's not back in that locker room next year. No way.
I'll leave y'all with this, and then I've got to hop off. But I mean,
we're all hopping off. We're all hopping off.
Stace.
This is enough for this.
I applaud your belief in your team, and again, Colts Nation, you can kick me out if you want to, but I will still faithfully wear my Colts blue every Sunday. But I don't have that same belief.
I mean, but you have your reasons. You changed head coaches, you fired coordinators, y'all practically cleaning house. The Steelers still got people there. And unlike the Colts, the Steelers got majority of their starters coming back, and they do have an easier road down the stretch and do have a defense that could neutralize a lot of these opponents' offenses. Which could definitely benefit the Steelers offense if they are to have decent play calling. But like I said, it starts with Matt Canada. I'm not saying the Steelers are going to make a legit run, but I'm saying that they can. So it's not wise to write off the black and gold with a head coach that, once again, never had a losing record season and would have never missed the postseason if the seeding then would have been the seeding this entire time. What it is now, we will be talking about a head coach who would have never, not only not have a 500 below 500 record season, but would have never missed the playoffs.
Again.
Believe what you want, Stacey.
No, listen, I am not one to mock or ridicule or make fun of anyone's fervor.
Oh, yes, you are.
Believe in their team. Listen, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. And I'm actually changing my pick based on that from the Titans to Tampa Bay. I think this win is going to jolt Tom Brady, and he is going to lead his team to the playoffs, at least. If you're talking about for real division leaders, because they kind of tied first with the Falcons. Now, your Steelers have more of a way to go with a lot less to work with, but you also feel as if the second half of the season will be theirs. And if nothing else, it would be a very interesting journey for all of us to watch.
I mean,
I have no
it would
reason
be.
to root against the Steelers at all. So I am interested and excited to follow that.
So you're saying there's no reason to go against my Pittsburgh Steelers, is what you're saying.
I've never had a reason to go against the Steelers. I've never had a reason to go against the Steelers. I, just don't feel that this is going to be the year for them.
I mean, I'm not expecting a Super Bowl year, but honestly, I can see them getting a playoff spot. I can see them getting that 7th seed, because I'm not sold on the team that's currently sitting there right now, or any of those teams. And they all got to see each other. Pittsburgh still got to see their division, which is pretty vulnerable this year. They got to get that revenge against Cleveland for that beatdown they took the last time on Thursday Night Football in Cleveland, when Jacoby Brissett pretty much and Nick Chubb pretty much put on a clinic. So I'm definitely expecting them.
A Jacoby Brissett stand account.
Thank you, Kayla. We know that already. But yes, I'm expecting them to split with the Ravens. I expect them to finish off with the Bengals. And I could see them, no offense, Stacey, I could see them beating your Falcons. I could see them beating your Colts, Kayla. I could definitely see them beating the Raiders. The Saints game, I could see them winning that game this Sunday, but that game is definitely going to be up in the air.
Look,
And
I don't
I
have
can
to worry
see them
about
beating
my
the
feelings
Ravens.
and my Colts. I've already accepted the L. Like, it's okay. Y'all don't have to be weary of my feelings.
The Steelers can make a legit run here. Like 2-6 record, okay, I get it. Usually for teams, that's throwing the towel. But let's remember, this was a 1-4 football team before. This was a 2-6 football team before. If I tell you that the Steelers might just only need a 9-8 record and could get an 11-6 or 10-6 or 10-7 record and sneak in, what are you gonna? You can't write off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but they did get some time off. They did get a bye week. This week, we definitely gonna find out a lot about that Steeler offense, as we already know what it is with the defense already when healthy. We're gonna see how much of an impact TJ Watt's absence truly made on this team, as they will be hosting Alvin Kamara, Andy Dalton, or Jameis Winston, and the New Orleans Saints with Michael Olive, who's now their guy to throw to due to Michael Thomas' season-ending toe injury. So that's my pick right now. Another team you got to look out for is the LA Chargers, as they are expected to get healthy down the run. And I don't think they had their bye week just yet. You could definitely look at that team. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them, as they did take Kansas City in Arrowhead to the limit. So they could definitely win game 2 and shake up things in the AFC West division. That's another team people need to stop sleeping on. Those are my 2 top picks right there, who could definitely make a legit run to the postseason. Now, they're going to go further, the Chargers. Maybe you could definitely argue the Steelers. No, I think they might just make the wild card or to the divisional round, and then they're bounced out. I don't see them getting further than that. I'm sorry, I don't. In experience and officialness, I can't see my Steelers getting further than that. But that's all I got to say on it. Anything else y'all would like to do to wrap off this episode so we can all just go down?
Nope, I have nothing else. I'm good.
All right, so this has been Stacey. Anything?
Like, no, I feel we've said all the things and then more.
Yep, we definitely did. We definitely covered every topic. So this has been episode number 2 of the Mike Bomb Podcast. Thank you to you all who tuned in. Thank you to you all who listened and supported the podcast since day one. We all definitely appreciate it, as we will be dropping more legit content heading in, as we will be continuing on with season 2 of the podcast. This is your host, May Shayla, Kayla, Stacy, all signing out. Good night. See you guys later. See you next week. We're out.
Peace.
Bye.
Welcome to the Mike Bomb Podcast, the podcast where the bombs get thrown. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode. This is your host, May Shayla, exiting out. But before I do, I would like to take the time to thank everyone who has subscribed, followed, and listened to the podcast, and for your overall support and love. If you are interested in getting more news and updates about the podcast, such as new episodes, new seasons, you can now subscribe and follow the podcast on your favorite platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora Radio, Google Podcasts, and much more. Or you can visit www.themikebomb.com for news updates within your favorite sport leagues, along with more news about the podcast. Thank you for your support, and see you next episode.
This is my night, this is my pain, this is my life, this is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Every new day, every new night, every new stage, every new fight. This is what I was born to do. I was born to do. Fall to my knees every night and I pray, asking Lord, let him hear